security and a real addition to big events like this as well.
It's fantastic, and you've obviously got a second area you can use away from the kiosk where people can have a table and get a great view of the air show for a set fee.
Well, they can. So all year round it's open. However, on the air show days, we know that having a sit down and a rest comes at a premium. And so, you know, to make sure that people have that, we offer a table and chairs for people with wristband for those 2 days. They can bring a picnic, they can enjoy the atmosphere, they have a great view over the sea, and obviously the night flying that takes place as well. That's always really, really popular.
I want to talk to you about the history of this kiosk. Obviously been slightly modified, one imagines, over the years, but you've got a sign up saying it was established in 1934, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. So it used to sell newspapers, you know, periodicals that all went with when it was originally opened. Now it's still listed as the newspaper kiosk.
Is it?
And so yeah, and we don't sell newspapers.
All periodicals.
Life moves on, you know, with technology, with apps, with, you know, notifications on your phone, your watches now. It's very different. But, you know, a lot of passing trade is an absolute heat map of where people pass over the road, and we're happy to serve people as they go past, whether they're buying a stick of rock to take home to the family, or whether it's a nice room to cool down the hot day.
Talk about heat map, you're right on the top of Pier Hill here. I mean, you can't be missed. If you're walking up Pier Hill, it's on the left-hand side as you approach the amusements in the old high street. So the stuff you're selling now is ice creams, teas, coffee, snacks, sweets.
Yeah, that's it. And we also do cream teas, and so British favourite, Tiptree Jam, sitting on the terrace. And so we're grateful to support the Tiptree Jam give us with regards to using the logos and the sites that we can use there. And that's always a stock favourite. Our trick is to keep prices down. We don't fluctuate our prices throughout the season. We pride ourselves on being the most reasonable kiosk around because we want people to come back. You charge a high price to someone once, they won't come back, and our trick is just to keep prices down and keep the tables full up and support people that either live locally or travelling for the day as much as possible.
Now, I know finally the air show is a great crowd puller, and obviously you'll do great business yesterday and today. I mean, it's great, and the weather's been kind. But what about the season in general? Have you noticed this year has been down or up?
We've not set any records. We wouldn't do it if we didn't make a pound. I haven't ordered a Ferrari yet. It's about keeping the prices down and you know, just keeping things as reasonable as we can.
Good luck for the rest of today and have a great air show.
No, thank you very much.
Sisters, and I'm so excited.
The sound of Essex.
And no wonder we are excited. Not have we just got the Red Arrows to come at 1 o'clock and a full afternoon of flying here in Clacton. Next month is packed with big events, and BBC Essex will be right at the heart of it. First up, Radio 2 in the Park lands at Highlands Park in Chelmsford from the 5th to the 7th of September. It's huge. There's going to be so many legends performing. Then we're celebrating local heroes at our Make a Difference Awards night, shining a spotlight on the people who make Essex extraordinary. And don't miss the thrills and spills of the Colchester Soapbox Rally. Fast, fun and full of homemade racing madness. It's all happening this September, and BBC Essex will be there to bring you every moment.
Radio Airshow.
Now, we're very pleased to say we're just 5 minutes away from the start of flying here on day 2 of Clacton Airshow. Standing next to me at the commentary point at BBC Essex is Red 10 Squadron Leader Graham Muscat. He's holding the radio, he's in touch with the team. And before we give him the microphone, I wanted to get a sneaky word with him to say, Graham, this is your last visit as Red 10 to Clacton.
Ideally, this is my 4th and final year on the team, Red Arrows, and so not only is it my last visit to Clacton's Red 10, it's probably going to be my last visit to Clacton in the Red Arrows, obviously in my civilian capacity, or if I come down on holiday, something like that, I'm sure I'd visit Clacton again. It's a lovely place, but it's definitely my last season as Red 10.
It's a busy life, isn't it, as Red 10? We were just looking at where you are, in the next few days. You're all over the world. It must take its toll.
Yeah, it is. It's really tough. We pretty much on the road from first week in June all the way to the first weekend of October. We get 1 week off in the summer just for a break, and that's it. But from Wednesday to Sunday, that's our working week, or Wednesday to Sunday all the way through the summer. Never spend a weekend with friends and family if you've got it, only with each other. So yeah, it's tough. And after 4 years, everyone's like, "You're going to miss it." I'm like, "Of course I'm going to miss it." But it is. It's my time to go and spend a bit of time with my son.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure every year having you with us in Clacton. I'll let you do your communicating that you need, because they're on their way, aren't they?
They'll be here in about 4 minutes, something like that. I'm just tracking them. They've just gone over the top of Ipswich. They're just to the northeast of Colchester, and then they'll turn southeast towards us, ready for Clacton. I'm just waiting to make contact with Red 1.
OK, well, you give me the signal when you want the microphone, and we will hand it over to you, and you will hear the full commentary live here on BBC Essex, and of course along Clacton seafront, whether you're listening down at the pier, hi to you, or up the other end of the seafront as I look to my right at the Martello Tower. The beach is very busy today. We had high tide about half an hour ago, so there's only a little bit of beach at the moment, but it is now subsiding and the beach is getting a little bit bigger. But on that point, we'll see members of Clacton Beach Patrol walking up and down the beach. They are just making sure that you don't go in the water. As we're about to start flying, water swimming is out of bounds, I'm afraid. We can't have you in the sea whilst the planes are above us. So that's just one of the rules. But I'm sure you can make the most of the North Sea after 4:30ish, and the planes have finished. So we are all eagerly waiting. We're going to hand you over now on BBC Essex at Clacton Airshow to Red 10. Let's hear it for Graham Muscat.
Good afternoon, Clacton. Yes, as introduced, I am Squadron Leader Graham Muscat, Red 10. The team supervisor with the Royal Air Force Aerobatic team, it's the Red Arrows. It's great to be back here at Clacton Airshow. I know we weren't here last year due to our tour in Canada, but it's great to be back at a wonderful place and see a great crowd. And I'm just tracking the team now on flight radar. They've just gone to the east of Colchester, making their way here.
Watch out.
Just making radio contact with Red 1. I have to give them some information such as the wind. There's not a lot of wind here today. And also give them the pressure setting that I'll set on their altimeters so they can accurately fly at the heights that they do during the display. There are three types of display that we can do. It's either full, flat or rolling. It's based on cloud base and or airspace. Airspace restriction here is from Southend. Unfortunately, we're restricted to about 3,500 feet, so the most we can do is actually a rolling show. But it's still a good show. It's still a very dynamic and enjoyable show, as always with the Red Arrows. When the team arrive, they'll be in a large V formation, so make sure you give them a huge round of applause, a huge cheer as they arrive, and of course we'll be trailing our famous red, white and blue when we arrive. And that formation is called Amateur Big Battle, with all the even numbers on the right-hand side, all the odd numbers on the left-hand side. So please, put your hands together for the 2025 Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team. It's the Red Arrows! Arriving at over 400 miles per hour, trailing our famous red, white and blue. Red 1 eases them up and brings them around to the right, as I said, to start the show, rolling. You'll now see Reds 6 and 7 collapse to sit in behind Red 1. Reds 8 and 9 will also move in to form our world-famous Diamond 9. Leading the team for the second year this year is one of your own. He's an Essex boy, squad leader John Bond, known as Bondy. He's a former Typhoon pilot, former qualified flying instructor on the Tucano, and he was the display pilot in 2012. From the right, in our world-famous Diamond 9, it's the Red Arrows.
Go.
On the right-hand side of Red 1 is Red 2, Flight Lieutenant Rob Thomas. Rob is in his first year on the team. Uniquely, he was taken from training and made straight into instructor on the Hawk. Before then, completing his own training, joining the Typhoon Force, where he has served on operations with 3 squadrons over Iraq and Syria, and then became an instructor on the Operations Conversion Unit, 29th Squadron, all based at RAF Tutor in Lincolnshire. You'll now see the centre stern move forward, touching the wings of the formation, moving rearwards. Reds 8 and 9 split. One of the widest formations we fly in 2025. From the left, in the Swan. From Red 1, almost robotic and monotone in that delivery, and that's because we fly our formation by ear rather than by eye. And this means the pilots on the outside of the formation put their input into the control column just a little bit earlier than those on the inside to make the formation move as one. Reds 8 and 9 move in to sit behind 2 and 3 to form the shape of one of the most iconic aircraft in aviation history. Red 1 continues to bring them around to left. The smoke guns on in the Concorde.
Look up. Go.
On the left-hand side of that centre stem is Red 3, Flight Lieutenant Andrew McEwen, known as Macca. Macca is also in his first year on the team. He flew the Aviate-B while on exchange with the United States Marine Corps, which is a Harrier variant, before then coming back to the UK. And he's the first pilot on the Red Arrows to have flown our new Royal Air Force 5th generation fighter, the F-35B, based at RAF Marham in Norfolk. 2025 celebrates the 20th anniversary of the Royal Air Force Typhoon Display Team. Reds 2 and 3 move up the rear section, form the Delta Wing in celebration of that 20th anniversary. From the right, the Red Arrows continue to come around to form and fly the Typhoon Roll. On the right-hand side, all the way at the back, is Red 4 Squadron leader Chris McCann. He's the Tornado GR4 Force, where he flew with the world-famous Dambuster Squadron 617, based at RAF Lossiemouth, and Chris also received an Air Force Cross for his service on operations over Afghanistan. The rear section moved forward because the Royal Air Force is famous for its operations in air. However, these days we have a capability also in space and cyber. And to represent that capability in space and cyber, the team have now formed the shape of a spacecraft. This is Apollo. There are actually 11 pilots on the Red Arrows. Reds 1 through 9 displaying for you today. Myself, Red 10, former Tornado GR4 pilot, former qualified flying instructor on the Hawk T Mark II. And as I said earlier, this is my 4th and final year on the Red Arrows. And of course we are commanded by Wing Commander Red Arrows, Wing Commander Adam Collins, former Tornado GR4 pilot, former Red 10, former F-111 pilot while on exchange with the Royal Australian Air Force. Reds 8 and 9 now move left and right, 6 and 7 split at the rear. Get your cameras ready for a fantastic photo opportunity as Red 1 brings them around to left for the colourful Big Vixen. It's underneath the belly of the aeroplane towards the rear. This has twofold effect. The first effect means the pilots fly with a higher throttle setting, thereby producing a hotter engine gas temperature, and that makes the smoke colours burn a lot more brightly. In addition, it disturbs the airflow outside the back of the aeroplane, and that makes the smoke billow a lot more fuller. And therefore, in certain manoeuvres throughout this display, we use that technique to enhance that manoeuvre. Red 1 makes the call. Once again, you'll see Reds 6 and 7 move inside to sit behind Red 1. Reds 8 and 9 sit on trail for undoubtedly the most popular, if not the most popular manoeuvre the Red Arrows fly. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get your cameras ready. In from the right, this is Tornado time!
Look off, guys. Nice.
8 and 9, roll goes, Reds 8 and 9, roll around the rest of the formation. We'll watch for the colour change as Red 1 brings them down the line. Circus 10 is Air Specialist 1, Erwin Lewis, who's with me today. He's in front of the lifeboat station, filming the display for debriefing and safety purposes. The team have now formed, once again, our famous Diamond 9. This will be your last opportunity to get a picture of us in our Diamond 9 before we start the second half of the show. The smoke comes on once again in our Diamond 9. It's the Red Arrows. Start it with the 5-4 split. And in the second half, we operate in two distinct sections. Off to the left-hand side is Reds 1 through 5, known as Enid, named after Enid Blyton's famous 5. The right-hand side is 6, 7, 8 and 9, known as Hannah, named after squad leader Ray Hanna, one of the first members of the Red Arrows, the only team leader to lead the team for 4 years. He took the team from a 7 to a 9 and formed our world famous Diamond 9. Enid from the left, Hanna from the right for the colourful 5-4 cross. Red 5 starts to move in to sit behind Red 1, and Red 4 sits in trail on the rest of Enid. Number 4, roll, go. The board call is made from 4 as he rolls around the rest of the smoke of Enid in the twister. Sat behind Red 1 is Red 5, Flight Lieutenant Dustin Wales, known as Dusty. Dusty is in his second year at the team. He's a former Typhoon pilot, having served with 3 Squadron. He was an instructor on the Typhoon, on 29 Squadron, and also a test pilot on 41 Squadron, all based at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire. As Enid leaves to the right, look directly to your front. You can see the 4 aircraft of Red 6, 7, 8 and 9. The red and the blue come on from Reds 8 and 9 as they roll around synchro. Get your cameras ready for the Hanna break. Red 6 and 8 to our left hand side. Red 7 and 9 to our right hand side. Hanna and the synchro pair are led by the synchro leader. That's Red 6 to the left, smoking right. Squad leader Tom Hanswell. Tom is in his 3rd and final year of the team. He's a former Typhoon pilot, former qualified weapons instructor on the Typhoon, which meant he would teach all weapons, technical information and tactics to the entire Typhoon force. Each aircraft will now dive down to approximately 100 feet over the sea. They have a closing speed of over 900 miles per hour to perform their next manoeuvre called the Hanna Pass. From Red 6 is Red 6 to our right and Red 7 to our left. Pull up. Red 7 to our left is Flight Lieutenant George Day, second year in the team for Strikemaster for the Typhoon pilot. Each aircraft brought up to 5G limits of active 2,500 to 3,000 feet. They're inverted 60 degrees left down and roll the way up to come back to the centre in the manoeuvre called the Boomerang. Each aircraft pass at wind tip to wind tip line of 30 metres, 100 feet. They turn hard away from each other out to 6G, turning the Boomerang into a cyclone. In from the right-hand side, you've got Enid coming back in with the nose light and trail. The smoke comes on. Get down as they inform the inverted V. Looking to the left-hand side, you're looking for Red 9. Red 9 coming from the left is travelling at over 500 miles per hour. He lines up with Enid for the Goose. And now the flight of the young cyclone. Boys, it was 30 in the team, former technology opera pilot, former qualified flying instructor on the Team 2. As Enid leaves to the left-hand side, look directly to your front and you're looking for the single pair over the wind farms in the distance. They're just starting to come into view. You might be able to see their nose lights twinkling in the distance as they both ease up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, get your cameras ready. This is the one you do not want to miss. The smoke will come on. as they part to form the world-famous Synchro Heart. Coming in from the top right-hand side is Red 8 as he spears the Heart. Red 8 is Flight Lieutenant Rich Walker, an extremely experienced aviator, having flown Harrier and Typhoon and being a qualified flight instructor on the Hawk T-Mark 2. And he's also his third and final year on the team. Mr. Clacton, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's give him a huge round of applause for wonderful Hearts in the skies of Clacton. Well, the show's not over yet. Keep your eye on the Synchro pair. They will both turn back towards the display line. Coming in from the right and the left, they'll be diving down to approximately 100 feet. They've got that closing speed of over 900 miles per hour. Each aircraft will perform a barrel roll. Cross in the middle, wingtip to wingtip, 30 metres, only 100 feet, followed by a second barrel roll in a manoeuvre called the double rolls. Keep looking to your left, keep looking to your right. You're looking for the Synchro pair returning back to the display area once again. Each aircraft will perform a barrel roll. They'll cross in the middle for the manoeuvre called the Circus. Wingtip to wingtip, 30 metres, 100 feet. They're now going to go up to 6G. That means everything about them is weighing 6 times heavier than what you and I are as we stand on the beach. Red 7 changes to blue, Red 6 changes to red. They're pulling up to 6G, Red 7 to our left, keeping an eye on Red 6 to ensure he has that missed distance as they complete the manoeuvre called the Circus. Flies a barrel roll in the sky, leaving a snake-like smoke trail in the sky in the manoeuvre called the Serpent. Another great opportunity to see our famous red, white and blue. That red, white and blue is only capable due to the smoke pod under the belly of the aeroplane. That smoke pod is capable of producing approximately 5 minutes of white smoke, 1 minute of red smoke and 1 minute of blue smoke. Each of those smoke colours had its own buttons on the pilot's control column. And during which trainings, Red 1 and Red 6 will come up with a smoke plan to ensure we have the right colour smoke at the right time in the display and we simply do not run out. Reds 2, 3, 4 and 5 now move up, looking 90 degrees along their shoulder line out Red 1, pulling up to 4G, an extremely hard formation to maintain. The smoke comes on from the right-hand side in the Tango. To your left, look to your right. today from the right for the first of our new manoeuvres in 2025. This is the chainsaw. Red 6 and 9 inverted for up to 30 seconds, all the blood rushing to their head. Converting, they now turn all the negative G into positive G. All the blood in their head now rushing to their feet. They're working hard against the G pants. Keep an eye on Red 7 and 8 to the left-hand side as they complete the chainsaw. In from the left-hand side, Enid, Reds 1 through 5, the smoke is on.
2 and 3, roll.
2 and 3, roll goes, Reds 2 and 3, roll to the outside. As Enid leaves to the right, look directly to your front once again over the wind farms. You're looking for Hannah on the nose lights and the smoke to come on. 8 and 9, roll go. The red and the blue from 8 and 9, roll go as they roll around the smoke in Red 6 for the second of our new manoeuvres for 2025. Red 6, Red 8, Red 9, and hiding in the smoke of Red 6 is Red 7 in the Tempest. Yeah, an extremely busy week for us from Denmark down to Poland. As I said, it's my fourth and final year on the team. If you want to follow the Red Arrows, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, RAF Red Arrows. I have my own pilot account, RAF Red 10. Find me, you can follow the rest of the team as well. As I said, fourth and final year on the team. It's been an absolute honour and a pleasure to be part of this team. I represent the Royal Air Force. I think we have a good time in the future. Thanks for your support. Goodbye.
Let's hear it one more time for Red 10 Squadron Leader Graham Muscat. Come on, you can do more than that. Thank you, Graham. It's been an absolute joy to have you with us as part of Clacton Airshow for so many years, 4 years. All the very best for your next chapter. Let's go to the beach right now where Steve Scruton has been watching with literally thousands of people.
Did you enjoy that, ladies and gentlemen? Wow! I've never seen so many smiling faces on the beach, including Jeanette and Nikki, who support the Red Arrows. You might have seen them if you're towards the commentary point here. They always come in their red t-shirts supporting the Red Arrows. Jeanette and Nikki, what do you think of it?
Oh, brilliant as always. It's never a bad show, is there?
It's always great. We missed them last year, but we had a double dose this year.
I know, we did. Wherever you see them, whether it be on the A12 or a full display, they always get your heart racing. It's brilliant.
Don't you think, ladies and gentlemen, we always give them a really warm welcome in Essex, don't we? Fantastic. Ian, from the commentary point, you can probably see the thousands of people who've enjoyed this.
We can, and we heard them, and so did Graham, actually, and he had a real poignant smile, actually, when he heard that round of applause for him. I think, yeah, it was a really, really wonderful display, a rolling display, Sam Williams, because of cloud, but absolutely breathtaking, as always.
What a way to start day 2 of Clacton Airshow with the RAF Red Arrows.
Now, the time is 1:25 . Of course, and you're the best. BBC Essex live at the Clacton Airshow. Hi to James, who's listening in Cornwall on BBC Sounds, listening to day 2 of the Airshow on the BBC Sounds app, he says. Please say hi to all the team from BBC Essex. Thank you, James. I will do that. Yeah, if you're here and you haven't got BBC Sounds on your smartphone or your device, very easy to get started. Just download the free BBC Sounds app, sign up with your email, password and your Essex postcode, and then you get all the best local content landed right on your homepage, including, of course, everything from the Clacton Airshow. And yeah, we're here live through until 5 o'clock on the commentary point, and our job really is to guide you through the action, the commentary, some appropriate music for some of the displays, but we also like to meet the pilots, the people that make it all happen.
Hi, I'm Tony de Bruin, the Bronco pilot.
Now, Tony, we saw your display yesterday, and it was absolutely stunning because your aircraft is incredibly manoeuvrable. If people haven't seen the Bronco before, just describe the aircraft first of all.
Yeah, it's a twin turboprop, so it's got 2 wings, 2 propellers, double tail as well, so it's very discernible from the ground. It's not like really large or so. The span is only 12 meters, length 14. It's a highly maneuverable airplane. It's built for the observer role for air control in the Vietnam War, which basically means also that like the visibility is an important thing from inside the airplane to the outside. So when you actually fly in the airplane, I mean, you can throw it like around like nothing. But on top of that, like the visibility all around is just amazing. So when I'm flying the Bronco, I always think like I'm sitting on top of the world.
You must be up there. It's incredible. And I guess because the visibility is so good, you get a great view of the crowd.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And I mean, I always enjoy not looking down on the crowd. How do you say that?
Seeing and enjoying.
Yeah, seeing and enjoying Clacton, seeing the amazing crowds on the beach, it's just like absolutely wonderful.
And your aircraft, it's the one you've described it beautifully, but it's got some bright orange markings matching your flying suit, I have to say. You're in bright orange as well. Is there a reason for the bright orange?
Well, the airplane was used in the target towing role in Germany. So the airplane towed the target, which was black target, on a steel cable, like 2 miles behind the airplane. Hence the high visibility of the airplane, because they didn't want the ground troops to shoot at the airplane, but rather at the target.
And what does it feel like when you're doing the manoeuvres?
Oh, I'm pulling up to like 4 Gs, 4.5 Gs, negative -1. So you're really sitting on top of a roller coaster while pulling this airplane around through the air.
And after you land at Clacton, after today's display, you'll be off back home to Farmers Fields.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we're actually based in Flanders Fields, just close to Ypres, in fact. So, I mean, we're based in a very emotional area, actually. I mean, we fly over all the cemeteries. Concorde is very close by as well. I mean, actually, when we fly home, we probably fly straight over Concorde going home.
So very poignant.
It is.
Tony, thank you so much for seeing us on BBC Essex, and we can't wait for the display this afternoon.
Thank you very much, and it's totally a pleasure to be here. Again, you know, like, we love coming to Clacton.
Radio Airshow.
And Tony in the Bronco will follow our wonderful Rich Goodwin in his Pitts aircraft, that bright blue aircraft that's just snuck in from the right-hand side. It arrived with that wonderful that manoeuvre of it just sort of hanging in the sky, Sam Williams, as it drifted along from the Martello Tower end towards the pier.
Yes, he likes to make an entrance, doesn't he, Rich Goodwin, on arrival. That was the knife edge pass. It's one of my firm favourites. We're going to be seeing some ultimate aerobatics now, with some twirling, some spinning, some rolling, plenty of G and high energy fun. So get your cameras ready, because this is going to be an absolute delight. Into the vertical there. He's powered by a 6-cylinder, 8.5-litre Lycoming engine, producing over 300 horsepower. It has an excellent power-to-weight ratio. The aircraft is incredibly lightweight, weighing just 700 kilograms. And a top speed of over 200 miles an hour. Rich will be pulling G up to 6G minus 5 during the display. Now his aircraft is a GJ Pit is the registration, and it's built from scratch. It took him around 4 years to build the aircraft, based on a PRXIX S2S fuselage, and it incorporates lots of tested modifications to the aircraft, not least a huge wing, a massive wing area, giving it a phenomenal roll rate, massive ailerons, and better low-speed handling. Is literally just pausing in the sky, going at 0 miles per hour, hanging the aircraft on the prop as he then tumbles down, gaining some airspeed, ready to pull it into the next manoeuvre. He's got a phenomenal smoke system with the smoke trailing behind him. And yes, it is environmentally friendly smoke that he uses during the displays. Tumbling on the top there. Now during the display, Rich will be looking at his position over the display area, making sure he's the appropriate distance from the crowd. He will be looking at the wind, checking the temperature of the engine and the oil, meanwhile making sure he's at the right point on his routine. How is the aircraft behaving? How is he feeling? And is he on schedule? So much to think about. These aerobatic pilots are very talented. A lovely little side slip there with the smoke trailing. He's pointing out towards the wind farm, and there he is, pausing momentarily, not even moving. I mean, Ian, what do you think about that?
That's amazing. He's just like hovering in the sky. It's incredible to see this biplane just hover, almost like a helicopter would.
And there he was, just gently sliding down, a tail slide down slowly, and then pulling away. You'll notice, Ian, that in times in the display, there's moments like this where he just kind of gathers himself, resettles the aircraft before pulling into another high-energy manoeuvre. One of the talents of aerobatic routines is the on-off aerobatics. One moment going super slowly or not even moving, and the next minute high-speed twirling.
Climbing high into the sky, turning as he goes, and now down again. That smoke, that environmentally friendly smoke trailing out the back. Smoke is now off as Rich now makes his way along the seafront from left to right, giving us a nice view of the undercarriage.
Now, this is based on a pit special aircraft, but the standard pit gear has been removed and the engine mount modified to take the titanium sprung gear legs, and then there's a new shape and carbon cowling to reduce weight and profile drag. It's a modified rudder design, which gives it a better look and more powerful yaw control, which basically means where you can move the aircraft side to side. It has new rings, as I mentioned, and an absolutely amazing roll rate. Now, ordinarily, this aircraft is fitted with two ATM Lynx jet turbine engines, powering up to 700 pounds of thrust, but at the moment those engines are away in Holland for maintenance, so today Rich is flying just with the 8.5 litre Lycoming engine.
But he's doing just as good a job with that, isn't he? Flying, inverted now. Yes, it's a little bit upside down flying.
Now, of course, when you're flying upside down, the controls are literally backwards. So if you want to pull up, you have to push down. If you want to go down, you have to pull up. So you literally need to wire your brain backwards to be able to perform the maneuvers. And there he is, climbing up, gaining speed, pulling up into a loop, diving down towards the sea, just above the Coast Guard there, smoke trailing. And another knife edge pass, and twirling at the top.
It really is a fantastic sight. Bit of sun now breaking through the clouds, a little bit of blue coming, glinting on those wings. Actually, I mentioned this yesterday, the colour of this Pitts aircraft is sky blue, it's bright blue, and yesterday when he arrived, the clouds parted and we saw some blue, and it's happened again today. We met Rich yesterday on BBC Essex, and you know, he's a fit chap. You really have to be, Sam, don't you? I mean, people might think you're just sitting in an aircraft with the controls, but the physical toll on your body to do this is incredible.
It is, and peak physical fitness is absolute priority for aerobatic pilots if they're to actually be comfortable and capable of flying these high-energy manoeuvres. And in fact, both yesterday and today, Rich went for a morning run with the Firebirds pilots, and they went for like a 45-minute run before breakfast.
And then decimated the breakfast buffet, apparently.
Yeah, I think they went for thirds. Now, the Pitts is known around the world as a Pitts Special's revolutionary design, popular in aerobatic competitions. They fly recreationally and for air displays, but the origins of the aircraft date back to the 1940s when Curtis Pitts in the USA designed the original aircraft, which took to the skies in 1944. This aircraft is the legacy of that type, albeit a modernised variant that's produced today, but it's true testament to Curtis's design and work that 80 years on, the Pitts Special is still flying. Now, the second ever Pitts that was built was an aircraft that was owned by a famous pilot called Betty Skelton. She's one of my aviation heroes. Now, she bought the second Pitts Special, and she called it the Little Stinker. And she would go and fly at air shows and do a clever little trick where she got a member of the public to hold a pole up and another member of her team hold the other pole with a ribbon across. She would fly inverted upside down and cut the ribbon with the wings of the airplane.
Fabulous. Actually, talking about women in aviation, it's sad that we couldn't have Melanie Asdale with us at Clacton this year. She was very much hoping to be here. We'll see her in your programme, which they are still available, £6 from the Seafront sellers. And unfortunately, Melanie can't be here because of a little problem with the aircraft. But Melanie is a world champion, a French aviation aerobatic champion, and has been involved with the Red Bull Air Race, which is unusual for a woman, it has to be said, Sam.
She's the first and only woman to have flown on the Red Bull Air Race. She's also not just the French aerobatic champion, but I believe she's the current British aerobatic champion as well.
but it's good to mention her, and hopefully we'll see her at future Clacton air shows. Well, that was absolutely epic. I think Rich is just banking round now. I can just see him now to my right. He's coming past us on the seafront. He's just dipped his left wing down, so we're getting a view of the top side this time.
So it's another knife edge pass. Look at that absolute precision as he holds the aircraft on a 45-degree angle, smoke trailing from behind. The roar of that 8.5 litre Lycoming engine thrusting past us. Now Rich is a ex-RAF Tornado pilot and a retired commercial airline pilot. He used to fly Boeing 767s, so he may have flown you on your holidays at some stage. He's been flying aerobatics for more than 30 years. He's also flied the Hawk in advanced flying training, but the buzz and thrill of spinning an aircraft around the sky has never left him, and he absolutely adores flying aerobatics.
I'm not sure how I'd feel if I was strapped in, ready to go off to, you know, Alicante or something, and I heard the announcement, your pilot is Rich Goodwin. I'd obviously be reassured in some ways, but I'd be a little nervous as well.
I think you're in very capable hands.
No funny stuff. No funny stuff on the 737s.
Now, Rich has already performed at 20 air shows so far this year. He's been performing in the UK and France. Now, after this show, he'll be going over to the Channel Islands, back to France, and more shows in the UK, performing at air shows and private events. So if you're looking for something a bit different, perhaps for a special occasion, maybe a wedding, Rich is available.
And as he heads off back to Clacton Aero Club, where he's going to be landing, shall we give him a great big round of applause, Clacton? Let's hear it for Rich Goodwin in his PRXIX aircraft.
You can fly BBC PRXIX almost anywhere. In the garden, in the pub, cheers, or in the bathroom. Do you mind? You can also find BBC PRXIX on Facebook, Instagram and X. It's where you can listen, watch, read and share. It might be some Essex news, Essex sports, or a celebrity interview like Katie Price.
Everyone thinks I'm from Essex. I'm like, no, Brighton. And they're like, no, you're not. You sound like you're from Essex.
Search BBC PRXIX on Facebook, Instagram and X.
BBC PRXIX.
Radio Airshow.
BBC PRXIX.
Yes, we're with you live from sunny Clacton now, the Sunshine Coast living up to its name, with some nice warm sunshine coming down on us. The beaches look really full. We're standing right above Green Beach. Each beach in Clacton is named and colour-coded, and you can get a wristband from the beach patrol team, write your name and number on it, and then you can put that wristband on the wrist of a child perhaps, or a vulnerable adult, and then if you do become separated, the team know more or less where you are along this long golden sand seafront. And there's a very, very big hole being dug right in front of the commentary point. I mean, that is a deep hole. How far are you going? How far are you going, madam? Oh, a bit further. Okay. Could you fill it in once you're finished? That'd be lovely. Thank you also for staying out of the water whilst you see the aircraft above you, because that's part of the safety rules. We need you out of the water, even though it looks so inviting whilst the planes are flying. But rest assured, after about 4:30ish, when the last display leaves us, you can get in that water and cool off. It does look very inviting as the sun is glistening on it. Bank holiday weekend. Stick with BBC PRXIX. Sonia, Sadie and the sports team with you on Bank Holiday Monday. But as we say goodbye to Rich Goodwin, we say hello to Tony Nimrin in his Bronco. Yes, this is the one with those bright orange markings that we were talking about just a moment ago. A rather unusual looking aircraft, Sam, with the twin propeller and twin tails.
Yes, absolutely. This is the North American Rockwell OV-10 Bronco, and it was designed in the 1960s, predominantly for use in hostile conditions. The huge fin at the back and wide wingspan allows the aircraft for a short takeoff and landing, because this aircraft was designed to land on roads and hills and jungle-like conditions, and used in operations in Vietnam and the Philippines.
It's got such a distinctive look in the sky as it passes now over the Gunfleet wind farms that we were talking about earlier, coming back now towards the end of the pier. A great view if you're watching on the end of the pier, and good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us on BBC Essex. The light is on, he's coming towards us.
Now, the Bronco is often nicknamed the bucking Bronco because of its amazing manoeuvrability. But if you look now at the centre of the display line, the gear is down, and Tony is showing us the slow pass, sometimes called the dirty pass, with the gear down. Now, this aircraft during the display will go from super slow speeds to high speeds. Watch out for the really short turning radius of the aircraft. The aircraft's short takeoff and landing, its STOL capability, its excellent manoeuvrability, the short turn radius and the impressive roll rate. Tony absolutely loves performing at display routines in the Bronco. He loves the manoeuvrability of the aircraft and likes to show it off during the display.
You just have heard the beach patrollers, if you're on the beach, just with the loudspeakers asking you to stay out of the water. So if you're perhaps listening to this on the prom, please beckon your youngsters off out of the water and back onto the beach, please. If they're straying onto the water, that's a safety issue for us. So please help the beach patrollers follow their instructions and stay out of the water whilst the aircraft are flying. Look at that sun catching those bright orange wingtips as Tony banks round very high in the sky. We get that distinctive look with that twin tail. Bit of smoke coming out, coming down much lower now for a great photo. Seeing the belly of the aircraft, and the cargo area, Sam, can hold quite a lot of stuff. 2,400 pounds of cargo, 6 paratroopers or 2 stretchers with a medic. Just give you a little bit of a concept of context of the capabilities of this aircraft.
So it's an American turboprop light attack and observation aircraft developed in the 1960s, especially for counterinsurgency combat, and one of its primary missions was as a forward advanced control aircraft. It was in fact designed by 2 US Marines who built the concept in their garage. The aircraft would have flown the first ever flight on July 1965, and it served in 3 US branches from 65 until 95, the Air Force, the Navy and the Marines.
Lots of boats out to sea in the safe zone, watching the aircraft from the other side, including one of those barges, those Thames barges. I'm guessing that will be Thistle on her 130th birthday. Apologies if it's Pudge, but I know Thistle was planning to be here to celebrate its 130th birthday at the Clacton Airshow. Good afternoon to you if you're on board and tuned in to us. Oh, that's nice. That's what you call a wing waggle.
That was a ginormous wing waggle. Now, Tony's really showing off the capabilities of the aircraft there. So when they were actually used in a kind of combat situation, the Bronco would be used for armor protection. It has bullet-resistant windshields, self-sealing fuel cells. It's ideal for operating in a hostile environment. The Bronco can loiter for up to 3 hours at speeds of 350 miles per hour. And it would have been seen in countries such as Germany, Thailand, Venezuela and in Indonesia. As we said earlier, the Vietnam War used them, as well as in the Philippines.
I love the fact that the original idea was for it to be amphibious. I think that would have been absolutely amazing. Tony would have loved that, wouldn't he?
Oh, he would have loved it, for sure. He's doing a deep dive now, look, Ian, as he comes down towards the Thames barges to the centre of the display line. The gear is down. Now, that gear was designed to allow the Bronco to land on roads. It could also operate from an aircraft carrier. Tony's flown the Bronco over from his base at Wilvenhelm, a Kortrijk in Belgium, just on the area of the Flanders Fields. Takes him about 30 minutes to fly to Clacton. Those of you that have long camera lenses or have seen photographs of the Bronco will notice that the aircraft is in a dark green colour with the orange tips, but it also has German markings. The reason for that is the Belgian airfield, where Tony was based from, was started by the Germans in World War I as a fighter base. And in honour of that, for messages of peace and reconciliation, Tony chose to leave the original markings of that aircraft.
We heard from him on BBC Essex just a few moments ago in an interview we recorded when he came to see us earlier on, and I can't tell you, I know you're probably thinking he's just saying that, but he absolutely loves the Clacton Airshow, and Edith as well that was with him. They are so happy to be here. And they're not just saying that, they absolutely love this display. Do check them out on social media. They recorded some interesting footage yesterday, didn't they, as they were making their approach into Clacton for the display.
And you'll see on that footage that Tony sits in a glass bubble cockpit, and he said that when he's in there flying, he really does feel like he's on top of the world. And in fact, the Bronco has appeared in Hollywood movies as well. It was recently seen in The Kingsman, The Secret Service.
Ah, we're going to get quite a few TV and film stars with us again today at Clacton Airshow. Thank you so much to Tony De Bruin and all the team behind the Bronco. Let's hear it for them.
My car went in for an MOT and failed, so we did a car share. We even went to the same hairdressers yesterday at the same time.
I mean, it was a mix-up, wasn't that? You could have ended up with the number 2, and I could have ended up with Red Now.
Where does the phrase, "you can't lick a badger twice," come from?
I have no idea. You can't lick a badger. Can you lick a badger once, let alone twice?
Very good question.
I'm not licking any badger.
Simon Watson at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Essex. Radio Airshow.
BBC Essex.
Welcome to Clacton. It's great to have your company here. If you're wondering, well, nearly 2 o'clock. Yep, Jake Peach will be on BBC Essex 95.3 FM and DAB digital radio. But here on 103.5 and BBC Sounds, it's Ian Wyatt, Steve Scruton and our guest Sam Williams, our flying fanatic, as we call her, a pilot herself who just loves everything to do with aviation and has been our guest on BBC Essex for the past 7 or 8 years now in Clacton, and it's lovely to see so many friendly faces back again this year. Good to chat to you a little earlier before the flying began. Now yesterday, you'll know that if you were here, that the crosswinds meant that we couldn't get the Battle of Britain memorial flight that we were expecting. The fly past that was due to arrive was interrupted due to crosswinds, so that didn't happen yesterday, and that was a big shame because we had a team of people at Walton just waiting for a fly past at that special event to mark the anniversary of the crash of a Hurricane at Walton on the Naze 85 years ago. But we are delighted to say, as we look to the skies, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome from the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, we have the Spitfire and we have the Hurricane.
So we have the Spitfire Mark 19 flying for you this afternoon and the Hurricane Mark 2C. This Hurricane is 80 years old this year and it's flown by our Luckins this afternoon. The Spitfire is flown by Andy Priest.
We are so honoured and privileged to have these two aircraft with us. Such history, aviation history in the skies above us as they bank round in formation. Again, if you're at the end of the pier, you've got a lovely view as they now pass over those boats. Loads of boats out to sea today, watching and listening to BBC Essex, and they're coming now gradually towards us here on the seafront for a much closer look at these two legends of the sky.
The Spitfire, the most famous military aircraft of all time and arguably one of the most beautiful ever built. The Spitfire is perhaps chiefly remembered as the symbol of the Battle of Britain. Meanwhile, the Hawker Hurricane is the unsung hero of the Battle of Britain. This aircraft, born from the famous Hawker design stable, was the creation of the great Sidney Cam and was his response to the RAF's urgent requirement for a low-wing monoplane fighter to balance the threat from Nazi Germany and its rearmament during the mid-1930s.
I've heard pilots in the past say that the Hurricane was one of the hardest aircraft to fly. As we see it now, leading the Spitfire again past us, we get a wonderful view of the undercarriage of both aircraft as they sweep round and over towards a very large vessel out there, actually. I'm not sure if that's a wind farm
Fixer-upper?
Service vehicle, or it's a fixer-upper, but it's a massive boat right out there. And they're zooming now into the sky away from us. The Spitfire, Sam, one of the latter versions that we had, this one, the
yes,
Mark
the Mark 19. Yes, the Mark 19 Spitfire, and this particular version was used for photo reconnaissance, one of the last ever built.
The growth in Spitfire squadrons was just simply incredible. By the outbreak of war in 1939, 9 squadrons were equipped. In spite of vigorous demands from France, the Commander-in-Chief of Fighter Command refused to send any Spitfires to France during the German Blitzkrieg of 1940. The wisdom of that decision was clearly shown. By July 1940, RAF Fighter Command had 19 Spitfire Mark I squadrons available. Once the RAF modified their tactics to properly counter the Luftwaffe, the Spitfire Mark I proved to be the only British fighter capable of meeting the Messerschmitt on equal terms. Often the outcome of a combat depended more on the quality of the pilot than his aircraft. More Spitfires were built than any other British combat aircraft before or since World War II, a total of 20,341.
Now, this particular Spitfire, as we said, was the Mark 19, registration PM631. She currently resides with the Biggin Hill Heritage Hangar, and they restored her into the colour markings that she would have had at the first ever flight of the historic aircraft flight, the predecessor to BBMF, which took to the air on the 11th of July, 1957. As the aircraft fly past us on the seafront there, you'll see the beautiful blue colour scheme with the yellow propeller spinner. Flying the Spitfire this afternoon is Flight Lieutenant Andy Priest, MBE. He has over 4,000 hours on 13 aircraft types, notably the Tornado GR1, the Hawk and Harrier GR7. Later in his career, he was the Tutor Display pilot. He's been with the BBMF for 6 years.
Just listening to the blend of the two aircraft engines as they flew past our microphones here at the BBC Essex commentary point. I hope, even if you're listening maybe thousands of miles away from the county, you'll have heard that. And I guess you might have had the same goosebumps that I had. I'm lucky enough to be able to see them too.
And of course there's a double whammy, Ian, because we've got the Merlin engine in the Hurricane and the Griffin engine in the Spitfire, which was introduced into the latter editions of the Spitfire in the later part of the war. They were considered the more advanced, powerful engines, which helped in the success to ultimate victory.
2,050 horsepower engines. I mean, it was just incredible.
Now this this Hurricane, PZ865, is 80 years old last month in July. It was the last model of Hawker Hurricane built from a total of over 14,500. She first flew on the 27th of July, 1944. And where's the inscription? The last of the many.
The aircraft are based at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire. The Royal Air Force Battle of Britain Memorial Flight operates several aircraft, tirelessly working to keep these beasts in the skies. We were hoping for the Lancaster bomber to come to see us in Clacton this year, but speaking to one of the team a little earlier, telling us that a radiator is needed. It's been laid up now for a few days. It'll take a few more to sort that radiator issue, but of course we hope to see him back in the skies very soon. I think there's just 2 airworthy Lancasters left in the world, so it's so important, isn't it, that we do all we can to keep flying. Lest we forget is the motto of the Battle of Britain.
And the other Lancaster's based out in Canada. Back in 2014 she made an appearance at the airshow season here in the UK. Now, talking of maintenance and upkeep, Ian, the Hurricane is undoubtedly one of the most complex of the wartime fighters to restore. It's got an intricate melange of steel, aluminium, wood and fabric, and it represents an enormous challenge to the maintenance engineers as well as the pilots to keep it in flying condition. When compared to the Spitfire, with its all-metal monocoque construction, the Hurricane is a truly massive undertaking to restore today.
Well, the words of the The famous poem for the fallen by Lawrence Binion ring round in our ears at times like this. They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Yeah, look like red and green.
And then do you know I've got a little team? Do you know my little team?
Our heartfelt thanks to the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight for bringing along the Hurricane and the Spitfire.
Discover more about Essex on BBC Sounds. From local history.
Is this a burial of gold coins which were intended to be a tribute to Julius Caesar? Why weren't they ever given to him?
And Essex News.
There's nothing that indicates they can stop. There's actually the yellow lines that says keep clear, and they stop there, hold up the traffic behind them to let their children off.
And all you need is a free BBC account and the free BBC Sounds app. To sign up, type in your email address, choose a password, and don't forget to enter your Essex postcode. Discover more about Essex on BBC Sounds.
The sound of Essex.
The Clacton Airshow.
Ian Wyatt, Steve Scruton and Samantha Williams with you out, well, right the way through till about 5 o'clock on this gorgeous day here. A bit of cloud in the skies, but lovely temperature, patches of blue and plenty of sun as well, and just a light breeze to cool us down from now and again. We're going to be in just 2 or 3 minutes time welcoming our next aircraft here at Clacton. It will be the Tutor, the Grob Tutor. And once again, I'll be introducing you to Flying Officer Sebastian Wilson. He's going to be taking us through the action. I'll get a word with him now. Seb, all looking good for today?
Yeah, all looking good. Bob is airborne from Southend. If you are particularly eagle-eyed, you may be able to see him off to the right, completing his pre-display checks before running in bang on quarter past even.
Okay, so, oh right, I'm going to set my watch by Bob. At 2:15, we're expecting our Tutor display. It's a really graceful display. It's an aircraft that is used by the RAF for training new recruits, and as Seb will tell us all a little about the whole display season and what they use the aircraft for and what they get up to. That coming up very, very soon. We'll be crossing to Steve Scruton as well, who is out and about on the green sward. We'll be popping over to see Steve as well. Can I just remind you that you're not allowed to use drones whilst the air show is taking place. We've had a little bit of an issue with this today. It is illegal to fly drones between now and 6 o'clock. That is the air exclusion time that we have in place because of the air show. The police are here and will take action if they see any drones, and the consequences are rather severe. So please, no drones, and that also goes for kites and balloons as well. They have to be out of the skies so everything is safe for the pilots above us. Just saw Seb there taking a little peek to the right so we can see him. If we look to our right over the kind of St Osyth end of the tendering coastline, a little aircraft is making its way through the skies today, and we're going to hear a full display from Seb. It's the 2025 display from the Grob Tutor, and I cannot wait, because if you were here yesterday, you'll know that we are in for something special. We still have the Lynx helicopter to come. We've got Team Raven in their 6 RV-8 aircraft, and of course the Fairey Swordfish, all to come for very, very soon. Just banking around in the skies to the right. I thought that was him, then it was a seagull, Seb. Did you? Oh, I think the seagulls are getting a bit confused, aren't they, today?
Yeah, I mean, the Tutor itself, especially being white and a single aircraft, you can pretty easily distinguish it. You can't distinguish it from the seagulls, but when it gets closer, you'll be able to see those very bright strobe lights and the lovely heart on its belly.
All right, so we're looking out for the heart. Are you happy being down here on the ground with us on BBC Essex, or would you rather be up there in the aircraft?
Well, I have sat in on this display once, and it is a particularly uncomfortable one. 8.5 minutes of solid aerobatics does take a toll, so I'm quite happy to be in the ground.
That's the right answer. OK, then here he comes, and we welcome Flight Lieutenant Seb Wilson.
Hello, Clacton. Yes, Flying Officer Seb Wilson is my name. I am the Tutor Display Manager and Commentator this season. It's a pleasure to display the Grob Tutor for you all today. We're the smallest display team in the Royal Air Force, only 2 personnel, me and Bob. But it's a small aircraft and it's got a big impact. Turning in towards the crowd now, flying in from the centre at nearly 200 miles per hour, it's Flight Lieutenant Bob Dews with the 2025 Tutor Display. Give him a wave. As he pulls up, he converts his speed into height to perform his first manoeuvre, the hammerhead. Flight Lieutenant Bob Dews was born in Carmarthen, South Wales, and started his flying career in the Royal Air Force in 1989, flying the Queen of the Skies, the VC-10 out of RAF Bryce Norton. He then became a search and rescue pilot on the Sea King. From the end of his half horizontal, Bob is now pushing negative 2G, leveling the aircraft upside down for an inverted pass. Hanging in his straps, trying to maintain control of the aircraft, this is not a comfortable position to be in. This is Bob's second year with the Tutor Display. He's operating at a base height of 300 feet, except for the 2 final passes at just 100 feet above the sea. The next manoeuvres are the ballistic rolls, which Bob can use to gain energy for the next part of his sequence. Displaying the Tutor requires careful energy management due to its low power-to-weight ratio, just 170 horsepower for a whole aircraft to fly. When not displaying, Bob is a qualified flying instructor, or QFI, on 115 Squadron, based at RAF Wittering, where he trains frontline pilots into fellow tutor instructors. During his very varied career, Bob has amassed over 8,000 flying hours on 15 different aircraft types. This represents almost a full year in the air. After this half Cuban, Bob is about to enter a 4-point roll. It's an excellent photo opportunity for you budding photographers. The Tutor has a top speed of 212 miles per hour or 185 knots and can achieve maximum positive 6G, meaning that the aircraft is subjected to forces 6 times that of gravity. Next off to the left, another wing over, a combined pitching and rolling manoeuvre used to turn the aircraft through 180 degrees. You'll notice that each wing over is slightly different as Bob carefully selects his flight path to cater for differing wing conditions and aircraft energy states. Bob now rolls 90 degrees while pointing straight up before completing a stall turn at almost 0 airspeed. The 2 90-degree turns allow him to continue in the same direction. The Tutor is operated by No. 6 Flying Training School in partnership with Babcock International, primarily flying University Air Squadron students and RAF Air Cadets. There are 13 air experience flights across the UK that offer flights up to 20,000 cadets each year. This could be you if you're between 13 and 20 years old. Up to 50 cadets a year are now being taught to fly the Tutor up to solo standard, flying it on their own. After this conventional stall turn, Bob will enter a slow roll. Particularly vulnerable to the wind in the Tutor, Grob, the manufacturer, primarily makes gliders, and the Tutor, despite being powered, is built like a glider, making it very light, and therefore it's a particularly skillful display with a blustery wind like we have today. During the slow roll, you may have noticed the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund heart on the belly of this aircraft, seen since 2022 to celebrate this fantastic charity. We're proud to raise an awareness for the charity that does so much for RAF personnel, air cadets and veterans. I know we've had A-level results day recently, but those of you going to university, there are 15 university air squadrons across the UK. On the squadrons, students are taught to fly the tutor by highly experienced military flying instructors like Bob. It is worth mentioning that the UAS syllabus is 80 hours long, completely free, and does include solo aerobatics. Members are not committed to a military career after graduation, although if that's something you decide to do, they will support you every step of the way. We're now in the high-energy section of the display with a quarter clover, derry turn, and now the loop, all quintessential aerobatic manoeuvres. Today, the Royal Air Force is recruiting for multiple rewarding and demanding professions with the continued development of our combat, utility and maritime patrol aircraft, as well as UK Space Command. Now recently joined at RIAT by the introduction of our newest aircraft, E7 Wedgetail, and also remotely piloted capabilities with Protector. Down to just 100 feet over the sea. The high tempo of operations continues today with aircraft and personnel deployed around the world, operating with NATO and our other allies. Visit the RAF website to find out more about our professions, including, but not limited to, aircrew, air operations controllers, cyberspace specialists, medics and engineers, and many, many more. We're now in the final section of our display with an oblique loop and a half Cuban. The oblique loop puts the aircraft in plan form to the crowd for some excellent photo opportunities of that benevolent fund heart. I'd like to take this moment to say a big thank you to our supporters this season. They are the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund, Runway 25 and Babcock International, who provided much of the merchandise we're giving away in our stand this season. If you've managed to get some great photo shots of the tutor, make sure to tag our social media, Instagram and Facebook. We'd be more than happy to repost your photos, with your permission, of course. Bob's now bringing the tutor around for his departing wave at just 100 feet. Yes, he will be able to see you waving. A big thank you to Clacton Airshow 2025 for hosting us today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the 2025 Royal Air Force Tutor.
Go on then, Bob. Well done. Go on, Bob.
And our special thanks to Flying Officer Sebastian Wilson from the Tutor Display team. Will you thank Bob from all of us here at Clacton? That was epic.
I will do. He does love the display season. He's going to be missing it next year, but yeah, big fan of everything we do here. So he does enjoy Clacton. He did it last year, he did it this year. He loves the coastal shows.
Seb, smashing. Thanks for you as well. And to Bob, let's hear it for the Tutor Display team.
BBC Essex. We have so much fun at the weekend. There are big guests, inspiration for places to visit and things to do, plus expert gardening advice. We also have a brilliant music quiz called Just a Second. All you have to do is correctly guess the artist and the title from the first 1 second of a song.
Sadie 9, weekend mornings from 10
on BBC Essex and BBC Sounds.
The sound of Essex.
The Clacton Airshow.
On the eve of the long August bank holiday weekend, and actually Sadie, you're getting an extra dose of Sadie this weekend, not just with you Saturday and Sunday 10 till 2, but also on bank holiday Monday following Sonia Watson and breakfast, and then the BBC Essex Sport team take over. It's great to have your company here in Clacton for the 32nd air show. We were trying to work out how many years we've been here. Certainly myself and Steve have seen getting on for 30 of the air shows, and we've been with you for Radio Air Show on BBC Essex for maybe about 25 of them. So it's been absolutely wonderful to see the event grow over the years and develop. It really has.
Ian, got a little bit of lost property, I think, that we want to try and reunite with its owner. And Will is with me from Tendring District Council. Will, can you just tell us what's going on here?
Absolutely. So we've had handed in to us a navy leather pouch with some ID documents in it. So if you think this is yours, please head to the information point in the middle of the main event site. And in general, if you've lost any property, if it gets handed in to us, that's where it goes, and that's the place to go and check. So please keep an eye on your belongings and possessions while you're here. But we understand things, these things happen. So yeah, please come find us if that's the case.
And just repeat the information again. What is it you found?
So specifically, it's a navy coloured leather pouch with some ID documents in.
Somebody's going to be very pleased that that's been handed in, I should imagine. Ian, back to you.
And Steve, I was just saying how over the 25, 30 air shows we've been here at Clacton, how they've grown. I remember in the early days, we'd have a few planes and there'd be big gaps and there wouldn't be anything like the number of aircraft we have now. And the crowds have just grown over the years and the years and the years. It really is a wonderful spectacle that we are very pleased and proud to be part of, along with Tendring District Council and TSA Consulting, the flying display team that look after all the aircraft. So next in the skies, yeah, we've got the Lynx helicopter, the Lynx AH7. This is a helicopter that has been renovated fairly recently in Essex at North Weald. The people behind it are from Bury St Edmunds, which is just across the border in Suffolk. So again, very close to us here in Essex. So a real local kind of story we've got for you with this fabulous Lynx helicopter. The first time we've seen a Lynx helicopter in the skies over Clacton, and this is a very manoeuvrable, very fast aircraft, very fast helicopter. In fact, a modified Lynx still has the helicopter speed record, so you get a taste of what we're in for in the skies over Clacton very soon. If you have your smartphone with you or some sort of device, download BBC Sounds if you haven't already got the free app. Make an account, put in your email address and a password, and then you're in with an Essex postcode. You'll get loads of local content delivered to your phone or to your whatever you're looking at sounds on. And of course you can follow every twist and turn of Clacton Airshow this year via BBC Sounds. After the Lynx helicopter, we're going to be welcoming the Fairey Swordfish, which is just a fantastic old, very old biplane. We hope to see another Spitfire. We've already had one Spitfire Mark 19. We're hoping to see another one in the skies a little bit later on this afternoon. The Firebirds will be back. We have a Mustang, a Vampire, and maybe even a pair of Strikemasters all to come. But as you look to your right now, right on cue, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's welcome the Lynx AH7 helicopter. Arriving from the right with a pass that gave us an excellent opportunity for a photo. We're going to see some incredible aerobatics with this aircraft, Sam, aren't we?
Absolutely. So flying for us this afternoon is Lynx pilot Clive Clark. He's spent 17 years in Army aviation as a pilot and helicopter instructor, and almost 30 years for Her Majesty's Forces. He has over 6,000 flying hours, mostly on twin-turbine helicopters. He has experience of military flying, including counter-terrorism, airborne reconnaissance, casualty evacuation, pilot instruction, assessment, examination, and he's also flown VIPs in hostile environments such as the jungle and the desert. He now works for the National Police Air Service as a national training captain and spends his hobby in the summer flying at air shows as part of Project Lynx with the Westland Lynx helicopter.
Climbing into the sky, we're going to see several wingovers, and get your cameras ready because we're going to see a hover like no other. We're going to see a wonderful hover at 300 feet above the sea with a very slow 360-degree turn very soon. So cameras at the ready, because this is something rather special. Here we go.
Now, as the Westland Lynx helicopter hovers in front of us, the centre of the display line, he's now flying sideways, pointing his rotor tail back towards the pier and pitching around towards the J-wig end of the beach. You can see close up here from the seafront the 42-foot main rotor diameter as he dives down. The aircraft is 50 feet long and weighs over 10,000 pounds fully loaded. The engines are two Rolls-Royce GEM 41-to-1 turbo shafts with 1,120 horsepower each.
He's now flying backwards before spinning once again, so we see each side of the Lynx helicopter. And then again, turning to face the crowd, up to our right at the moment, sort of flying towards the Martello Tower. Again, a nice graceful turn, backwards a little bit more, so everybody on Clacton seafront is going to get a great view.
Now, of course, Ian, we see a lot of high-energy, high-speed aerobatics, but when you see slow flying, you might be forgiven for thinking it's easy. I can tell you from experience that slow flying is incredibly difficult because that accuracy is so important. Every wrong turn or manoeuvre is so obvious when you're flying slowly.
And doing the pirouette as you go. Bit higher now in the skies. Oh, and a wonderful dip of the nose right in front of us on the commentary point.
Now, flying fairly low level for an air display today, but the service ceiling of the aircraft is 10,600 feet with a range of 322 miles.
What a journey this particular Lynx has been through. Project Lynx, based in Bury St Edmunds, have made it their aim to return Lynx helicopters to the sky so they can be remembered for the roles they've played in the British military in the past. They acquired this particular helicopter in 2019, and since then it's been based at North Weald under the care of Weald Aviation Limited, before a full refurbishment to airworthy condition. The 14th of February 2022, she returned to the skies.
Now, Ian, you missed that, but he was pitching the rotor tail downwards. Then he went complete 180 with the front of the aircraft pointing the other way, up and down like a seesaw. I hope that he's still got his breakfast on board.
Well, apparently curry and ice cream is the thing that you have before your aerobatics if you listen to the Firebirds.
I'm not sure I'm quite brave enough to try that.
We'll ask Clive later. Must say well done to Graham, who is the man behind Project Lynx. He's actually purchased another Lynx since he did up this one. He's got a Mark 9 Alpha, a veteran of the Afghanistan campaign. It's in the process of being fully restored, so maybe we're going to see another one in the future.
It's lovely to see the preservation of this historic rotary aircraft brought to the civilian teams and for airshow entertainment. It helps to preserve that heritage for future generations to learn about their active roles when they were deployed with the military.
Thank you so much for waving as Clyde dipped his nose, bowing to the crowd before that rapid descent off over the pier and into the distance along the tendering coastline. What about that, Clacton? Let's hear it for the Lynx helicopter AH7 from Project Lynx. Thank you, Clive. And of course to Graham Hinckley, the owner, for making this possible. What a fabulous display.
BBC Essex. Modern life is busy. You might be cooking dinner, mowing the lawn, or taking the kids to school. So to make things a bit easier, you can now send a message to BBC Essex on most smart speakers. Just ask BBC Sounds to send a comment.
Hi Sonia, it's Jodie. Thanks for the A12 update. I'm just getting ready for work and I reckon the mystery song is Better the Devil You Know by Kylie.
If you're listening to BBC Essex on a smart speaker, ask BBC Sounds to send a comment. BBC Essex.
We've been getting plenty of comments to the commentary point. You can email us directly, wyatt@bbc.co.uk, here at our vantage point on Clacton Seafront, wyatt@bbc.co.uk. Might just have time to mention a couple before the Ravens arrive. Can you say happy 9th birthday to Harry the Hammer, future wrestler from Mum, Dad, Brothers? Thank you. Oh, he's going to be a wrestler, hey? He's going to make a fortune, Mum and Dad, so look after you. Could you please say happy birthday to Elaine? It's her birthday today. She comes to watch the air show every year with her family. Oh, thanks so much. And she's a big Coldplay fan. So next time we play Coldplay on BBC Essex, consider that for you. Elaine, happy birthday. And DJ Dan's listening. I'm glad you enjoyed Sweet Caroline earlier. Now we turn to something very different from the Lynx helicopter. We have not one, not two, not 3, 4, 5, but 6 aircraft in the skies. Come on, Clacton, let's hear it. Welcome, Team Raven.
Flying RV8 aircraft for you this afternoon, powered by 180 horsepower engines. These aircraft had an excellent power to weight ratio, which combined with an efficient airframe, give this aircraft the performance and fighter-like handling to make it perfect for formation flying. The RVs are nicknamed hot rods in the sky. Hold on to your hats, this is likely to be an entertaining routine. Approaching the crowd in a Vic V formation with 5 aircraft in the V and the 6th aircraft flying behind. You've got 6 very capable pilots flying for this afternoon, led by Raven 1, Simon Sid Shirley. He's been the team leader since the very beginning, and he is known as one of the best display leaders in the world. Most military national teams would crawl over broken glass to get his experience and ability, according to Raven pilot Pete Wells. He's been in the Air Force all his professional life, flying fighters such as Tornadoes and training pilots on Hawks and Tutors. Rumour has it that he's been flying fighters prior to having a driving licence, as he joined so young. In his spare time, he used to train civilians at the formation school at North Weald, where Team Raven originated. All of the civilians on the team owe Sid a huge amount, and I think it's safe to say that when Sid is leading you, you're in very good hands, because the team would follow him just about anywhere. And Team Raven do like to go all over the place. They display in the UK and abroad. They have display bookings in Spain as well, and in fact in a couple of weeks' time they're flying down to Malaga for a week-long visit, and they're going to be taking their significant others with them, who will be flying on airlines to join them on the sunny Spanish coast. centre of the crowd line now. We've got a duo pair of Ravens flying towards us directly in the middle of the seafront and pitching up one following the other. The smoke is trailing, flying very close formation as they roll over the top in beautiful synchronised harmony. Now that's Sid in Raven 1, and flying behind him is Raven 2, Patrick Wilson. He is the youngest and newest member of the team, joined at the beginning of this season. He's yet to realise how difficult it is as he's a natural formation pilot and extremely likeable. He's also a commercial airline pilot and has maybe flown you on your holidays. Passing us in the centre of the beach, we've got 3 aircraft leading, with the 4th aircraft trailing around the smoke trail behind. And in position 3 is Pete Wells. He's the engineer for the team. He's been flying with the team since 2022. He has over 6,000 flying hours, mostly on tail dragger aircraft, and claims to have done more than 1,000 air displays, which is one of the most air displays than any air display pilot on the circuit. In position 4, we have Gerald Williams. Now, Gerald used to be super famous as a Welsh rugby player. He likes to organise the displays and is the main contact for show organisers. He's got an amazing sense of humour, but he's a great pair of hands behind the cockpit of the RV8. Despite never being in the military, he's trained largely with military pilots and has huge amounts of discipline and skill.
Yeah, good old Gerald likes to do all the organising. We all need a Gerald, don't we, to get us sorted. Raven 5, and you can see a wonderful shot as they come straight towards us now on the commentary point with their lights on and their smoke trailing. Raven 5 this year is Russ Eastwell, an ex-Sea Harrier display pilot. As he likes to tell the team every weekend, he drops it into conversation. Well, you would, wouldn't you? He also displayed some of the Royal Navy's historical aircraft, including the Sea Hawk, then went on to display Rolls-Royce Spitfire. With an impressive military career in the Navy, when people ask if they're all ex-fast jet pilots, Sid always says Russ used to fly slow jet Harriers. So still some inter-service rivalry. Well, of course there would be. Russ joined the team over 3 years ago in 2022, the same year as Pete. That was a great pass from a pair of the Ravens right in front of us. 2 now heading out quite a distance apart into the skies, up over the wind farm. We still have that formation of 4 just to our left. We're keeping an eye on them as well. But 2 big loops from the 2 directly in front of us.
So that's Raven 5 and Raven 6 flying in an opposition routine there. Raven 6 is Mark Sutherland, but his nickname is Bradford Pitt because, yes, he comes from Bradford. He's an ex-Tornado bomber pilot, and he's a tireless worker doing all of the admin paperwork jobs on the team that no one else likes to do. The team like to nickname him Captain Slow, not because he's a slow flyer, but he's a little bit rubbish on the clock watching and is always last to join the crew bus. He's a great team player, great sense of humour, and I think we can sense there's real camaraderie between the Ravens.
Ravens 5 and 6 now flying from right to left, coming right in front of us. A lovely shot. Banking up into the sky, the smoke is trailing. The smoke getting a little lost in the clouds, the darker grey patchy cloud now that's just drifted in front of us. There's still plenty of blue around, but quite a lot of heavy cloud, making quite a nice backdrop actually to the display.
And crowd centre, we've got a 4-ship formation coming directly towards us. The smoke's been switched on. You can see the light of the lead aircraft with Sid flying up front there, as they go from a 4-ship formation to a crossover and a split.
Beautiful, in 4 different directions. 2 to the left, 2 to the right. I think the guys are having a good time today, as always.
And rejoining the centre line. We've got Ravens 5 and 6 pulling up, smoke trailing, and straight over the top. And pitching out towards the J-Wig end of the beach. Now you can hear as they pull up the roar of that 180 horsepower engine. It's got great capabilities, and because the aircraft has a fantastic power to weight ratio, it really is like a hot rod in the sky.
I must ask, next time we speak to one of the guys or the Firebirds, the people that fly these self-build aircraft, I must ask how long it takes to put it together, because, you know, I've had flat-pack furniture before that's taken days, and I just wonder how long it takes to build your own aircraft.
It's a very good question. We know that Rich Goodwins spent 4 years building and modifying his jet pits.
Oh, that's nice, those three members of Team Raven.
In fact, the RV aircraft are one of the most popular self-build aircraft in the world, if not the most popular.
The precision of that manoeuvre as they just looped round, now going back up into the sky with the three trails of smoke, one from each aircraft. You can see that the aircraft are exactly the correct distance away from each other, because the smoke wouldn't lie, and we can see the route that the aircraft are taking, and it looks absolutely pinpoint accuracy, doesn't it?
And that pinpoint accuracy comes from lots and lots of practice, not just in the air, but also on the ground. You may have seen on the social media, some of the pilots have been sharing videos of them doing walkthroughs on the ground.
Now, two of our Ravens have split away with their smoke on, and they are in the sky, drawing a great big heart. And just before the two meet at the bottom of the heart, to complete the heart, we have a third Raven piercing it like an arrow through the centre of the heart, with the smoke just making it look like it's gone right through the centre of the heart. That was special. Was that for me or you?
I think that's the love of Clacton. The pilots tell me that they only perform at shows that they like, they only return to shows they like, and the fact they've been returning to Clacton year on year, I think this is their fourth or fifth appearance here at Clacton over the last few years. They really do love it here.
So that heart was for all of us.
And then we've got a fan break with three aircraft doing what looks like derry turns in front of the centre of the beach, looping circles in the sky with their smoke trailing. It's a little bit cooler this afternoon, but on very hot days the pilots have to pay lots of attention to the engine performance and power. They can get overheated in the hot weather, so what they do is they make sure they only start the aircraft up at the last minute. They don't sit there with the engines running too long. They keep an eye on that to make sure that they don't overheat. And there they go, flying away into the distance over Clacton Pier. The Team Raven making their way over to Addison.
One more chance as they line up in formation. Isn't that lovely how we saw them gathering together in the skies, and then coming perfectly together in one line as they soar above us. The smoke goes on. How about that, Clacton? Let's hear it for Team Raven. One by one, peeling away and into the distance in front of us. So fascinating to see how all six just came together in the skies to our left, turned and then flew in such close formation.
Yes, that fan break is one of their new manoeuvres they introduced a few years ago. I was chatting to Sid the other evening and he was saying it's a firm favourite of theirs. It's very effective in the sky with that smoke trailing behind.
And again, how interesting to watch how the 6 aircraft were all separate, and then within seconds, look how they've come together in a cluster, almost like a swarm of bees, you know, 6 together now, so tight you can barely from the distance see any distance between them.
They can't bear to be apart from one another. Now, the Ravens absolutely love it here at Clacton, as we were saying. I was chatting to Pete Wells about it, and he was saying what he loves about it here is you take off from Clacton Aero Club, you turn left, and within 35 seconds from takeoff, you're already running in for your display. He said Clacton is the most brilliant amphitheatre. He loves the curve of the coastline with a pier at the far end. He can see the audience down on the beach, and he absolutely loves it that when they land, they can walk along the seafront and have an ice lolly.
I'm like a bird. We've got Team Raven performing, and the Seagulls just came really close to the commentary point there, and I think you'd have picked them up on our microphones. And all 6 now slightly separated. They've been past us once again on the commentary point. Well, now a Seagull has landed on one of the bits of kit right there. He's a big old thing, isn't he? Probably thinking, what is going on with our skies today? You know, what is all this noise?
I think they're in the search for some chips as well.
Yeah, yeah. Keep your chips closely guarded if you're enjoying some of the sea. Add your ice creams.
So the Ravens won't get an ice cream this afternoon because they're flying back to Earl's Colne to refuel on their way home. They absolutely love it here at Clacton, and wow, wasn't that just a fantastic display, Ian?
So if you're listening on 103.5 FM to BBC Essex or BBC Sounds and you're in the Earl's Colne area, keep an eye out because you're going to see quite an unusual sight as the lads head off now up the Holland Haven end of Clacton seafront. What a great display. Let's hear it for Team Raven.
BBC Essex. Every Monday evening at 6, Sport Extra dives into the world of Essex sport.
I think having them 20 for 5 was really good from us. Our bowlers bowled brilliantly up top, and Eva especially getting a 5 was brilliant to see.
At the start of the season, did you think you could go unbeaten?
I mean, we had a pretty good season last year, so we were all really, really hoping it could happen.
You've got 15 seconds to go, and I bet when Keir launched that shot, I bet time just stood still for the rest of you, didn't it?
Yeah, I was so happy inside.
BBC Essex Sports Extra.
Monday evening at 6 on BBC Essex and BBC Sounds.
BBC Essex. The sound of Essex.
And all the music you love. BBC Essex.
It's lovely to be here live from Clacton seafront. If we haven't met before, we are your local BBC.
Some recruitment. I've got 2 of my other friends from my squadron with me. Over here we've got Cadet Scotcher, and we've also got Cadet Kubo, who's fairly new to the squadron.
I love it that you all use your surnames, as you would in the military anyway. That's absolutely fine. Scotcher, is it Scotcher?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about what you're doing and why you decided to join the cadets.
So some of the main things I've been wanting to do is to get experience when I go into the RAF as an engineer, hopefully, or technician, who knows. In the Air Cadets we can do such exciting activities like flying, field craft, we can learn all about radio and stuff, which is what we're doing here. So many exciting things.
Now, obviously, Cadet Jones, I want to call you George, really. Is that all right? Do you mind if I call you George?
That's all right.
I know you're George. Yeah. The same question to you. I mean, what is it that you get out of being an Air Cadet? Is it something you'd like to do in the future, join the forces?
I think for me personally, I think I want to join the armed forces. I don't think it'd be the RAF for me, sadly. But I think I've tried Army Cadets in the past, and I think RAF is just the best one out there, especially the squadron I'm in, because we go out to the public, we do all kinds of stuff, as well as doing so many other events like on the squadron.
And today you have a responsibility for security. You're looking after the Chinook, or the three-quarter size Chinook. I mean, it almost looked real to me. Is that what you're doing there?
Yes, sir. We're guiding tourists and other maybe interests through the Chinook, trying to get them sort of more information into what the RAF and the Air Cadets actually do. We've got many recruitment pamphlets, maybe some volunteers may want to join. We've got sort of promotional stuff for the Air Cadets, giving them information on the sort of activities that we can do, the opportunities you may have as an RAF Air Cadet. We've got an open evening coming up this coming Thursday, so Thursday the 28th. And for anyone interested, come down to Cloud Corner, starts at 1900 hours, so 7 p.m. And hopefully we'll see you there.
And George, are all ages welcome?
All ages from, I think it's year 8, so about 12 in year 8, so I think you leave when you're 18.
19.
18, 19, similar age. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you for what you're doing here in Clacton. You look extremely smart in your Air Force uniforms, your Air Cadet uniforms. You've got the radio today. I know you're very busy, so I'm not going to hold you up any longer because I think the Chinook needs you. Yeah. Guys, thanks very much for your time. Well done.
Thanks, sir.
Steve Scruton, who's out and about for us, as he has been for many years at the Clacton Airshow, just giving us a flavour of what is going on the ground, because it's not all about the planes. Miles Smith with gold on BBC Essex, live from Clacton. We're right on the seafront. We've got the best view in the house. Well, actually, I'm not sure if we've got quite as good a view as Steve Scruton, who's, I told you, he's making his way all round the whole site, Steve. We've got the Fairey Swordfish coming in 2 minutes, and you've got some people waiting to see it, haven't you?
I have, and they're at number 46 here on the Marine Parade West, and it's actually Coral's house. Coral, you've opened your house for the air show. How many people have you got here? There must be about 20 people.
I'd say 20, 25 people, yeah.
Who are all these people?
All our friends, they live in Clacton, and it's a highlight of the year. We have our friends around the air show every year.
I'm guessing that you find it difficult to keep them away. Is that right? Would that be fair to say?
Prime spot. It's a brilliant event.
I tell you, all the chairs are out. We're all standing in the driveway, and as I say, there must be about 15 people here. Some of them have run around the back to take care of the dog. Is that true?
Yes.
Now, who's this best friend you got here?
This is Valerie.
Hello, Valerie.
Hello, how are you?
I understand you're a bit of a singer, aren't you?
Oh, yes, I like singing.
Now, you're not going to scare all of Clacton away with your song,
No, no,
are
I've
you?
been in 3 choirs in Clacton and I haven't done that yet.
Well, that's brilliant.
Yes.
But hey, only one of them's any good, did somebody say that? Just before you start singing a really well-known song, and feel free, Clacton and the rest of Essex, to join in, what's been your favourite act so far in the sky?
Red Arrows, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Weren't they
Yeah,
fantastic?
they were fantastic.
Yesterday and today, brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, a few moments ago when I arrived, I said to you, didn't I? I said, what song can we sing? And you said...
Sweet Caroline.
So shall we have a go? Are you all ready to have a go? Would you like to all join in on the seafront as well on the beach? Here we go. She's yeah, are you ready to go?
Yes.
Here we go then. Go on, go on.
1, 2, 3. Sweet Caroline. Good times never seem so good. So good, so good, so good. I've been inclined.
I think it's just you then, Coral. There's not a lot of support along the seafront for the singing, but maybe we'll have some sort of group sing-along at some point. What a lovely lot. Steve Scruton enjoying one of the parties. I mean, if you've got a house with a balcony overlooking this view that I've got, how lucky is that? Now, we're looking to our right, and we have something very historic, very special coming along now. Piloted by Andrew Davis, nicknamed Mum, chief pilot, a volunteer pilot. Andrew is flying for us today the Fairey Swordfish. Now, this is an aircraft that dates back many, many, many years. And I'd like to mention somebody who was involved with the Fairey Swordfish. His name was Squadron Leader Lionel Welsh. He flew from HMS Victorious as part of the flight that spotted the Bismarck, which we're going to talk about. One of the main roles the Swordfish had, that history of spotting the Bismarck and attacking it. He never talked about his role in the Swordfish, but after my mother died, says Heather, I found his war record and loads of photos. So let's mention Heather, who lives and works in Clacton, and her dad, the late Squadron Leader Lionel Welsh, who was one of the pilots of this, the Fairey Swordfish, as it comes directly into us, banking up and dipping down the right wing, so we see the beautiful underbelly of this very old biplane. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about it and its illustrious past over many, many decades.
W5856 is the oldest surviving airworthy Fairey Swordfish in the world. She first flew on Trafalgar Day on the 21st of October 1941 and was a Blackfish, built by Blackburn Aircraft at Sherburn in Elmet and delivered to 82 Squadron on the 20th of October 1941 for overseas transport to Gibraltar. She served with the Royal Navy's Mediterranean Fleet for a year. Little is known about her service in the Mediterranean, but it's likely she was based on the North Front in Gibraltar, carrying out patrols over the Straits. She was then returned to Fairey Stockport factory for refurbishment during the winter of 1942 to 43.
The wonderful sound of that Bristol Pegasus engine we're getting from our microphones on BBC Essex. Passing this time, again showing us the underbelly from right to left. Very distinctive markings, which we will tell you about as well. And hi to Jonathan Hearn, who came all the way from Australia last year to see this plane. He came to see us at the Clacton Airshow. He's listening at home, down under. his father flew in these amazing aircraft.
It was such a privilege, Ian, wasn't it, to look at his father's logbook and see the training flights and the missions that he took part in. Now, this aircraft was used for advanced flying training. She was transferred to the Royal Canadian Navy in 1944, again for more training roles until the end of the war. She was disposed of and passed through several hands on civilian operators, one being a farmer who thought that her plans were to turn her into a crop sprayer, but she was quickly purchased by Sir William Roberts, who brought her over to Scotland to join his Strathallan collection, and then she arrived in crates in August 1977, but in a badly corroded condition. Then in 1990, the aircraft was bought by British Aerospace and completely restored to flying condition. Her first successful test flight was in May 1993, when she was gifted to the Royal Navy Historic Flight, and 3 years later was adopted by the City of Leeds in tribute to the local companies that built the Swordfish components during World War II. She now wears the city's coat of arms and the name on her port side just forward of the pilot's cockpit. In 2003, she was grounded due to corrosion on her wing spars, and her future really looked uncertain. But with the great generosity of BAE Systems, they stepped in and constructed a brand new set of wings, which were delivered in 2012. She was then finally restored to full flying condition and saved for the nation by a huge grant from the Peter Harrison Heritage Foundation. The aircraft rejoined the display circuit 10 years ago in 2015, and she carries a new paint scheme which depicts the Swordfish of 820 Naval Air Squadron during the attack of the Bismarck in 1941.
Yes, the paint job really is quite striking. It's a real black and white stripe across each top and bottom wing, and also at the tail. From May 2024, this Fairey Swordfish got that freshly painted D-Day invasion stripes colour. And we talked about the role that the Swordfish played, a crucial role in protecting convoys from U-boats attacks in the Battle of the Atlantic. Also sinking the Italian fleet at Taranto, and of course crippling the mighty Bismarck. But Taranto is a battle that really stands out from the 11th and 12th of November in 1940. It was a battle between British naval forces under Admiral Andrew Cunningham and Italian naval forces. The Royal Navy launched the first all-aircraft ship-to-ship naval attack in history, employing 21 of these Fairey Swordfish biplanes, the torpedo bombers, from the aircraft carrier HMS Illustrious in the Mediterranean Sea. The attack struck the battle fleet of the Regia Marina at anchor in the harbour of Taranto, using aerial torpedoes despite the shallowness of the water. And according to Admiral Cunningham, Taranto and the night of the 11th to the 12th of November 1940 should be remembered forever as having shown once and for all that in the Fleet Air Arm, the Navy has its most devastating weapon.
The Swordfish has a stately 90 knots cruise when lightly laden and 82 knots when there's a tweet torpedo underslung. It has a very reliable engine. Now, the crew on board those missions were really not afforded too much comfort. There was no heater on board, it's open cockpit, and all you've got is fabric covering on the seats. They had really no shelter from the cold in the winter. It would have been particularly cold on those Arctic missions. A little wing waggle on the front there. We can see just how highly manoeuvrable the Blackfish is. Despite her lack of speed, there was very few criticisms of the aircraft other than could she perhaps go a little bit faster, but ultimately reliable. And sometimes that slow speed was actually to her advantage, as the enemy guns often found it difficult to offset their sighting on such a slow target.
What a beautiful little wing waggle as the Fairey Swordfish and Andrew Davis, mum to his friends, made its pass from left to right, just dipping one wing, then the other, one wing, then the other, in a very graceful manoeuvre. If you're in that barge over there, that Thames sailing barge, you'd have had a fantastic view from the other side to what we get. Absolutely beautiful. And we're so pleased and proud to have had the Swordfish here for us today. Clacton, shall we thank the team from the Fairey Swordfish?
And thank you to Navy Wings, part of the Fly Navy Heritage Trust, a charity behind Navy Wings, working to preserve Britain's great naval aviation heritage. They rely solely on public donations to work in maintaining, presenting and flying this unrivaled collection of historic naval aircraft. So do support them, and thank you very much to them and to volunteer pilot Andrew Mum Davies for a wonderful display this afternoon.
The Clacton Airshow.
Live on the commentary point with a special guest who's just joined us. Ian Davidson is the Chief Executive of Tendring District Council. Of course, it's the council that staged the air show this year. Welcome to BBC Essex, Ian.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and see so many people enjoying themselves today.
Now, a little birdie told me that you are the longest continuously serving chief exec of any local authority in the country. Is that right?
So I believe, yes.
Well, you've obviously done something wrong or something right, I don't know.
I'll leave for others to judge.
What do you make of day one so far? I mean, you're the boss of the council that staged this. How are you feeling?
Just over the moon to see so many people coming to Clacton, enjoying themselves, seeing such fantastic sights, and obviously seeing the red arrows here. It's an absolute pleasure. I don't know about you, but seeing those and seeing the Spitfire and the Hurricane, it puts the hairs on the back of my neck up. I liken it to thinking about 2012. Across the United Kingdom, there was a real feel-good factor. And I think the equivalent for us is our air show, and it is our feel-good factor for tendering.
It's a lot of work, though, to put into this. Why does the council want to do it each year?
It's a phenomenal amount of work, and we actually are very lucky. We've got a fantastic team who actually made it very slick because they've done it for so many years now. But the reason we do it is because we want to put on for our residents and for our businesses a fantastic display, and also draw people in, spending money, making our businesses successful, and actually seeing people enjoy themselves.
So a happy boss at the moment?
Very happy, smiling, and I'm smiling because I'm seeing so many smiling faces here today.
Ian Davidson, Chief Executive of Tendring District Council, thank you for that. And as you'll have heard in the background, as we were chatting to Ian, we have our second Spitfire of the day. Mark Disco Discum at the controls of this Mark 19 Photo Reconnaissance Spitfire from the Rolls-Royce Historic Air Fleet.
The Supermarine Spitfire was produced in greater numbers than any other British combat aircraft before or since World War II. 20,341 Spitfires were built in 22 different variants, and the aircraft remained in production for 12 years. The prototype's maiden flight took place on the 5th of March 1936, and Mark I Spitfires entered RAF service in August 1938. The development potential of the original design allowed the Spitfire to establish and maintain air superiority of the vital defence of Britain and to keep pace with the improvements in performance of enemy fighters throughout World War II. Spitfires fought in every operational theatre of the war and remained in RAF frontline service up to 1954. At the end of its development, the Spitfire carried an engine producing more than twice the power of the original. Maximum takeoff weight and rate of climb had been more than doubled. Its firepower had increased by a factor of 5, and its maximum speed had been increased by a third. And of course, this is a Mark 19 Spitfire, one of the last types built during World War II, powered by the Griffin engine.
And didn't we just hear that power, 2,050 horsepower Griffin engine? Absolutely wonderful. Now just high in the sky to our left. We're about to swoop much lower over to the sea, aiming at that orange marker buoy in front of us. Tipping the left wing down, we see the underbelly of this wonderful blue Spitfire, that kind of beautiful RAF blue that is just so evocative.
The first Supermarine Spitfire PR Mark 19 was completed in October 1944, powered by a Rolls-Royce Griffin 66. A direct descendant of both the buzzard engine and the R-type racing power plant, it included its design roots as a type blower for cabin pressurization. The engine is a 2,050 horsepower liquid-cooled V12 with 2-speed, 2-stage supercharger. Capable of flying up to 445 miles per hour at a flight ceiling of 26,000 feet and a range of 1,800 miles.
Now, this particular aircraft was used to train Lightning pilots to fight Mustangs, has spent time over the years with the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, and it also features in the 1969 film Battle of Britain, where it was painted with the temporary markings to represent different squadrons during the filming. It's now back in the RAF blue, as I mentioned, representing its time as a photographic reconnaissance aircraft. The Rolls-Royce Heritage Flight acquired her in 1995, one of the final 3 Spitfires to be retired from the RAF. And they absolutely bring displays like this around the UK during the summer season.
Rolls-Royce see this aeroplane as a dynamic and exciting ambassador, not just for the company, but also to inspire the younger generation and hopefully encourage them to choose science or engineering-based careers.
Oh, that's better as the cloud clears slightly. A little bit of sun comes through just to warm us up a little. It's gone a little chilly, I'll be honest, on the seafront, but the warmth of the sun soon breaking out and starting to glint on that blue colour scheme of the elliptical wing of the Spitfire, coming straight towards us now on the seafront before heading up into the sky, banking round to her right, our left.
Now Now, PR Mark 19, this particular Spitfire was the final photo reconnaissance variant of the Supermarine Spitfire, and her very last operational sortie by an RAF Spitfire was on the 1st of April 1954, when the Mark 19 flew a photographic mission during the Malaya campaign over the jungles of Johor. The Mark 19 was also the last RAF serving Spitfire type, the last being a Mark 19 temperature and humidity flight at RAF Woodvale, not being struck off until June 1957. She bears her original wartime colour scheme of PRU blue, an original RAF serial of PS853, although it's also known by its national registration of GRRGN. Rolls-Royce bought her in 1996 as a highly recognisable example of British engineering excellence. She remains as popular today as she was just after the war, and represents the pinnacle of Spitfire development, with the highest service ceiling, the longest endurance and the highest speed of all Spitfire marks. And thank you to Mark Discombe, who was awarded an MBE in the New Year Honours List in January of this year. He flew as a fighter pilot with the BBMF for 7 years, then becoming officer commanding. He then progressed on to become, he handed over, to Squadron Leader Mark Sugden in October 2021, where he joined 29 Squadron, the Typhoon Operational Conversion Unit at RAF Coningsby. He flies the Rolls-Royce Spitfire Mark 19 during displays. Many congratulations to Disco on this richly deserved honour in commemoration of his 7 years of service to the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight.
And as we hear that iconic song, The Lights Go On Again, a timely chance to remember VJ Day that was marked just last week, the anniversary, 80 years of VJ Day, which officially brought World War II to, thankfully, conclusion.
BBC Essex.
Some skinny change to the past. Right on top of the German air defences and assets, there's going to be a high cruise beside that to be done. The undisclosed. I'll give you to find out in the comments. If you can find out how to decide that is one of the most important and most valuable periods of history.
Radio Airshow.
We're live from Clacton Seafront. Steve Scruton, Ian Wyatt and Sam Williams, your team, once again this year taking you through the action. We've still got quite a lot of action to fit in, actually. Our finale today will be hopefully 2 Strikemaster, BAC Strikemaster aircraft. We just had the 1 yesterday, but we're expecting 2, and they might arrive flanking either side of a Vampire, which will be stunning, so that is still to come. We have a Mustang coming up from down, I should say, I suppose, from Duxford, a P51 Mustang, here for a very special reason this year. We will tell you more about the tribute to Little Zippy. But next on the agenda, a couple of guys who we met on the programme on BBC Essex a little earlier, Nigel Reed and John Dodd. They are such characters. They are the Firebirds Aerobatic Display team. We have a special place for them in our hearts because we see them 3 times over the Clacton Airshow. They love to come each afternoon, but they're also the pair that strap hundreds and hundreds of fireworks to the tips of their wings and cover their planes in LED lighting so we can see them
through that twilight display. So that's coming up just in about a minute or two's time. If you want to get a message to us here at the commentary point, you can use my email address. That's probably the easiest. I mean, there's loads of ways to contact BBC Essex, including by using most smart speakers, as we've been telling you about. But just for ease, as we're out and about today, wyatt@bbc.co.uk on the email is probably the best bet. Please can we get a shout out at the Clacton Airshow? Hello to Izzy, Sophia, George, Ruben and Rupert, who are watching on land from sailing boat Mirror. Grandad and Ethan are watching out to sea. So there we are, a couple linked by the radio, and what a treat. Now, we weren't going to promise you red, white and blue smoke because we weren't sure it was going to happen, but by goodness it has. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of Clacton, let's welcome the Firebirds. Red smoke from the tips of one wing, blue smoke from the other, and white from the rear of the aircraft. Both of them trailing red, white and blue as they fly from right to left now.
Flying the RV4 aircraft, which is often nicknamed the hot rod of the sky. The RV aircraft are perhaps the most popular self-built aircraft in the world. Originally designed in America, these have been highly modified for aerobatic routines. We're having a little boogie here on the commentary point here with the fantastic music accompanying this aerobatic display from the Firebirds. These aircraft weigh as little as a third of a VW Golf car, around 500 kilograms, but they are powered by a mighty 5.3-litre, 160 horsepower engine, giving it the performance of a hot rod. Normal cruising speeds around 160 miles per hour, but these pilots don't do normal.
No, they don't do normal.
So during the display, you can see them travelling as high as either 0 miles per hour or 200 miles per hour as they make the most of the entire flight envelope.
Wow, close formation from Nigel and John as they now fly from left to right, banking up into the sky, splitting off, fanning out, and heading in either direction. Now, what I love about the fact that, as we've said before, when the smoke trails out of the aircraft, you can see the precision of the flying because it marks the track of the aircraft. Both done a loop in the sky. Now one is chasing the other. The sun is glinting off their white bodies. The livery is all white on these Firebird aircraft.
A lovely little wing over to the left there as they fly in absolute close formation aerobatics. The pilots are highly practiced and trained at aerobatic flying. They practice their routine not just in the air but also walking it through on the ground. And in fact, yesterday they told me about the routine using spoons at the breakfast table.
You should have videoed that. That would have been something to see, I think.
Now, one of the things the pilots also do before breakfast is they go running, because peak physical fitness is super important for display pilots. During the routine, they will be pulling up to 6G. The human body is really only designed to sustain 1G at any time. Pulling 6G is the equivalent of a cow sitting on your chest.
The lights on the tips of each wing piercing through the clouds at that point, as they head one to the left, one to the right, up into the sky now.
Now they're performing what you call opposition maneuvers now. We've got one aircraft far apart from the other, but they are still in absolute synchronization. So a derry turn and then flying towards one another on the straight and level, directly in front of the crowd line as they pull up with the smoke trailing into a heart.
They did a heart from the bottom up rather than the top down. Very nice.
They like to keep us on our toes. Now, of course, when the pilots reach the top of the heart and they just tip over the top, that's when they start to pull negative G, and they will pull up to -3 negative G while performing this routine. Now, I can tell you that G-force in the negative is extremely uncomfortable, and that's where the peak physical fitness really comes into play. The pilots will be grunting and clenching their muscles as they perform the routine.
Clenching and grunting, I can imagine them now as the two now flying, almost looks like they're going to cross over right in front of us. One was coming from the left, one was coming from the right. They did that wonderful close pass.
And I love it, Ian, as they pull up to the vertical and then they twirl as they go.
Very graceful. Now, I know Nigel has been quoted as saying, I've been lucky enough to do a mix of flying, military and civil stuff, big aeroplanes and little aeroplanes, but this is really a lot of fun. John, my number 2, does a lot of Spitfire and Mustang flying, but he says what we do in the RV4 is some of the best flying there is. And who can argue with that when we see what they're able to do with these two aircraft, very light aircraft.
Now, as we saw last night, they do the evening pyrotechnic routine, and they've got the coloured wingtip colours that were coming red, white and blue out of the aircraft wingtips this afternoon. And they said to me, this is an exclusive to Clacton Airshow, the first time they've done that in a daytime routine. They are now available to do gender reveals. So if you fancy having a gender reveal with a bit of something different in the sky, get in touch with the Firebirds. Now, pilot number 2 is John Doddy, who grew up in Scotland. In his schoolboy years, he was into model aircraft and he joined the Air Training Corps. He went on to Dundee University and studied electrical engineering before learning to fly in Cessna 152s at Dundee Flying Club. He then went on for a career as a research scientist with the Ministry of Defence Royal Aircraft Establishment at Farnborough. He then took on to flying chipmunks, tiger moths and tipsy nippers, and then had the opportunity to fly the RAF's Douglas DC-3. He then spent some time flying the British Military Parachute Centre in West Germany before taking a commercial job flying for Scottish Fisheries Protection Agency before eventually going to the airlines to fly Boeing aircraft. When he's not flying airliners, John likes to pursue his passion for flying old aircraft. DC-3s, Firebirds, Spitfires, Hurricanes, Mustangs, Sea Furies, he's flown them all. And he's never happier when he's in the air. crowd centre, pitching up. The smoke is going on, and they're flying in opposite directions. Are they going to give us another heart?
Oh, that's a big heart. You can see how the breeze has picked up because the smoke marking out that heart is moving quite quickly now towards Clacton Pier. Thank you so much for the heart. Thank you for the love. I think Clacton, that was for all of us from John and Nigel. Let's hear it for the Firebirds.
Thank you to Nigel Reed, John Doddy Dodd and Tom Everett, their ground crew for the Firebirds display.
So my kids are really into doing chores to earn money at the moment. So we're negotiating, you know, 50p to do this, £1 to do that, chores. It keeps them occupied. It keeps my house tidy. But anything for a tidy house and a quiet life. In conclusion, if we're going to get £1,400 toilet brush, don't have one of those either.
Oh my goodness.
Radio Airshow.
We're live in Clacton for day 2 of the air show. We've still got, I reckon, an hour of flying, very nearly to come, as we prepare for the Vampire and the Strikemaster pair. But we have a beautiful Mustang, Jersey Jerk, the name of the Mustang, joining us very, very shortly. Steve Scruton, our colleague on BBC Essex, was over the road at a party. You've made it back then to the commentary point.
Yes, and I'm still sober, although it's questionable about whether they are, some of them. But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, we still have in possession this navy-coloured wallet, and it's obviously precious to someone. Tendring District Council do have possession of this wallet, so if you know of someone who's lost this navy blue wallet, and you can describe some of its contents, obviously we'll return it to its rightful owner. But clearly it's a valuable wallet, and we think it does belong to a younger person. So if you know of that person who's lost a navy wallet with credit cards and all sorts of things in it, then go and see Tendring District Council, and we can reunite them.
Yes, just to give them your name as security, but on the credit card, Master is mentioned, and it's a sort of very dark navy, almost black leather wallet with a distinctive logo, a distinctive motif on the front and the back of that wallet. So if that is yours, or you think you might know who owns it, please do get them to report to Tendring District Council at the main control point, or any of the staff walking around the seafront, and they'll get it back to you. Jason's been in touch. Can you say hello to Nicola, Tom, Demi and Taylor? Can't attend the air show this year due to work. Baby Patsy and Jason are watching and listening to the great commentary from BBC Essex. Oh, Jason, thank you for that. I'm glad you are able to stay in touch in any way you can. Can you please give a shout out to Courtney, Lorraine, Joey, George, good old Nan, Herb, Henry, Albie, Kate and Jordan, as it's a family tradition to come to watch the air show, and this year has been amazing, says Joey. Yeah, it has. I'm pleased to hear that you've enjoyed it, and that it's a family tradition of yours to come and see it. Chris says, please can you do a shout out to Julie, Tony and the gang who go to both days of Clacton Air Show every year and absolutely love it. Thank you, I'm glad you do. If you do want to mention, we are running out of time, but there might be time for a few more. My email address is wyatt@bbc.co.uk. Can we say hi to Tony and Sammy sitting on the balcony enjoying the air show? Love from next door. So even the neighbours are using BBC Essex to get a message to each other, which I absolutely love. Thank you very much indeed. Ian, no Sabre F6. Can you explain why it hasn't flown? And can you shout out to my friend Reggie Squire? He's currently working hard at the Martello Lounge and deserves a shout out. Yeah, we had the flying display director Dave Walton on the commentary point with us on air a little earlier at the start of our broadcast at midday, and Dave was telling us that the plane was brought over from France, where it lives, to the UK, ready for the display, and I have to tell you, the pilot was so looking forward to being with us with his
Sabre in Clacton. But it's down to a little technical issue, I'm afraid. They couldn't get the aircraft started, and that problem was yesterday and it continued today, so a technical problem meant that they just could not get it in the skies, and I know the pilot was absolutely gutted because he was so looking forward to it, and he's already saying, please can he come back next year instead. These things happen, Sam, you know, with the old aircraft in particular. Sadly, sometimes they go out of service, and getting the parts on the right place in time is not always easy.
It isn't always easy. And I was reading a really interesting article that was an interview based with Frederick, the pilot, Frederick Apperet, who was previously an Air France captain. He has a huge passion for heritage aviation, and he was saying that when he actually purchased the Sabre, he inherited a huge amount of spare parts, and at one point he counted 12,500 brake pads. So I'm guessing it wasn't a brake pad.
No, we're okay on the brake pads front. But it was something else, no doubt. It's like the Lancaster. We were hoping for the Lancaster bomber from the Battle of Britain Memorial flight, and we had lots of people to mention in connection with the Lancaster. Graham Drinkle, who comes each year to tell us about his father's squadron leader, Bill Drinkle, who served with 50 Squadron on the Lancaster. He went to Royal Grammar School in Colchester and lived in Great Clacton. So that's always a poignant moment for that. And there's, of course, the Lancaster crew, the RAF Lancaster crew, who crashed and died near Ipswich Road in Colchester, April 1944. And, of course, the family of Peter Potter, who we featured on the programme yesterday. He was a tail gunner on the Lancaster, grew up in Mersey, moved to Elmstead Market in later life. And there is now a Peter Potter Way in Elmstead Market and a Lancaster Way to mark his time on the Lancaster. So I know the family and friends of all of those folk were looking forward to the Lancaster again today. But sadly, again, due to a radiator issue in that case with the Lancaster, it wasn't able to make it down from RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire. But hey, fingers crossed, there is always next year.
There's always next year. And I think, Ian, we're seconds away from the appearance of a very exciting aircraft, one of my favourites, the P-51 Mustang. So keep your eyes glued to the Jaywick end of the beach as we're waiting for the arrival of Jersey Jerk.
As we listen to the Beach Boys from the beach here in Clacton, arriving from over the pier and soaring up towards Jaywick, the Mustang has arrived.
Flying for you this afternoon is Dave Pulliston from the Ultimate Fighters. Dave's been passionate about flying vintage aircraft for as long as he can remember, and he's a very well-known face around the air display circuit.
And after that low, fast pass from left to right, we get a slower pass with the right wing down. A wonderful view of the underbelly of this P-51 Mustang known as Jersey Jerk. A wonderful sound of that Packard Merlin engine as it soars into the sky over the end of Clacton Pier. Not looking in bad shape, Sam, for an aircraft manufactured in 1947.
Yes, she was manufactured in Melbourne, Australia. Now, of course, most of the Mustangs are actually produced for the US Air Force, of course, but a lot of them were produced in California, but this one was built in Australia. And the reason I think she's in such good condition is she spent many years of her life, many decades, actually sat in storage. Although she was delivered in 1948, she sat in store until 1957. Decades later, she reappeared as a restoration project via Fort Lauderdale in Florida, shipped back to Australia to Queensland in May 1995. It was then in her first flight after a restoration in 2002, where she was configured with dual controls for the passenger seat. And then 2 decades later, she was eventually sold in 2020 and acquired by Ultimate Warbirds, who now own her and operate out of Sywell in Northamptonshire. They repainted her in the stunning colours of the P-51D Mustang Jersey Jerk, a personal mount of Major Donald Strait of the 361st Fighter Squadron, 356th Fighter Group. On the 5th of May 2024, she took her maiden flight as a rebuilt, restored aircraft.
So this aircraft honours Donald J. Strait, the top ace of the US 8th Air Force, who flew from Martlesham Heath in Suffolk in World War II. In 122 missions, he achieved 13.5 aerial victories, including 3 in a single mission in 1945. The P-51 that Major Strait was best known for was his Jersey Jerk. In 1944, he became the CEO of the 361st Flying School. He was decorated 9 times, and the final honour was induction into the New Jersey Aviation Hall of Fame.
Now, yesterday evening we were honoured with an appearance of another Mustang, the Moonbeam McSquire, the P-51D. And talking to the pilot, Alistair Stegg-Williams, I asked him, why is it so special to fly a Mustang? What do you love about it? And he said, well, put it this way, if I had a choice, I would have flown a Mustang as a fighter aircraft and flown a Spitfire for leisure. He said it's an absolute honour and a privilege to fly such a wonderful and capable aircraft. The P-51 Mustang was the most versatile aircraft, capable of escorting bombers on their long-range missions, engaging in dogfights and dropping down to destroy the German targets on the ground. She's an American long-range single-seat fighter and fighter bomber. She's also been used not just for World War II, but the Korean War and other conflicts. Although she was an American aircraft, she spent a lot of time flying out of Britain during World War II, supporting Britain and the Allied troops on those bomber escort missions. Her full potential was developed when the USA realised that the aircraft had really been ignored for far too long, and they forged the American airframe, but with the British Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, which would be unmatched by any other piston aircraft of World War II.
Now, this year's Mustang display carries a poignant local connection due to the 80th anniversary of the loss of a P-51D off the coast of Clacton during the Second World War. Yes, not far from where we stand today in Clacton on January the 13th, 1945. A Mustang known as Little Zippy ditched into the North Sea, tragically claiming the life of Flying Officer Raymond E. King. It was decades later that the aircraft was recovered and now forms a centrepiece of the East Essex Aviation Museum, which is just around the coast from here in Point Clear, St Osyth. And there's an extract from the words which accompany their display of Little Zippy. They say, Flight Officer Raymond King, based at Wattisham in Suffolk, experienced engine failure and ditched his aircraft just 800 yards from the seafront in Clacton. Although rescued by the crew of the Clacton lifeboat, he never survived his ordeal in the bitterly cold sea and tragically died from hypothermia.
east of the American military cemetery at Madingley, and after the end of the hostilities was returned to the United States of America. The aircraft, Little Zippy, was recovered from the sea in 1987 and can now be seen in the East Essex Aviation Museum in Point Clear. Now, we can hear from a man called Albert Scott who remembers seeing that tragic incident 80 years ago.
This aircraft was that I was a 13-year-old boy. It was a Saturday, and it was on the 13th of January 1945. And we went down to Walter Pier, and there was a bit of a commotion to our left-hand side. Aircraft were flying around, so we thought we'd better stay here and see what happens. We saw the lifeboat from Clacton Pier run out, and it stopped. Something was happening there, and it apparently was the rescue attempt of the pilot that had ditched in the sea, and it was only half a mile off the coast opposite Albany Gardens. We understand that he'd been out to a place called Worms in Germany, which was a main marshalling yard for trains. He was one of the pilots that was on a mission of 700 fighters, escorting 1,000 American bombers. And he got towards his target, and his companion radioed that his engine was running rough and was misfiring. So the commander of the group that had come from Watersham Airfield ordered Raymond King, the pilot of Little Zippy, this aircraft, to turn back and escort his colleague back to his base with a rough engine. On the way back, in terrible weather, it was freezing cold, there was ice on the ground. He dipped into the sea for some unknown reason. It must have been a seized engine, something like that. I saw it perhaps a few minutes after it had ditched into the sea, and when it hit the water, it flipped over. And the wreckage you do see was upside down, about 20 feet from the surface. And it was upside down in the mud, and our divers got it out in 1987. I still remember it so vividly. Lots of people have said, you know, surely, you know, this was 18 years ago.
Albert Scott with memories of 1945, and what a poignant display, Sam, that was.
It was a wonderful Mustang display from Dave Pulliston from the Ultimate Fighters. And now, picking up the pace, we have a flash to the Cold War jet era with the Strikemaster pair and the Vampire.
And we've got the Strikemaster pair today. We just had one Strikemaster, PAC Strikemaster, yesterday, but today we have both of them, the Strikemaster pair and the Vampire.
Flying the FB-52 Vampire this afternoon, Kenneth R. Wiesler from the Norwegian Historic Squadron. Flying the Strikemaster pair, we have Sean Chidinchand, MBE, and Ian Bertie Brett. The Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron is a passion project of Ken R. Wiesler. He brought this project about to preserve the ex-military historical aircraft in airworthy condition and deliver these unique historic aircraft to the public at air shows all around Europe.
Now the clouds really have cleared. We have much more blue sky and a beautiful shot as the Vampire was followed by each of the Strikemasters, sort of following each other one after the other as they went high into the sky. So clear to see the difference in the shape of these aircraft. The Vampire with the twin tail, the Strikemasters. Now, as we look out over the pier to the left, once again flanking either side of the Vampire as they form that V with the Vampire at the front. They're banking round. If you're up towards the Holland-on-Sea end of Clacton seafront, you'll get a wonderful view from those new beaches all along from the pier up towards Holland. Flying along now, coming over the pier. 3 abreast. A wonderful sight and a great opportunity for your camera as the smoke goes on. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vampire and the Strikemaster pair.
During the display, you'll see the jet aircraft go from silently skulking to full thrust and power, just showing their complete capabilities for their efforts during the Cold War. The de Havilland Vampire was evolved from the DH-100 Vampire as a British jet fighter commissioned by the Royal Air Force during the Second World War. She followed the Gloucester Meteor as the second jet fighter to enter service with the RAF, but she arrived too late to see combat during World War II. The Vampire served on the front line with RAF squadrons from 1953 until her use as a trainer until 1966. The Strikemaster is the BAC-167 Strikemaster, a British jet-powered training and light attack aircraft. She was a development of the Hunting Jet Provost trainer, itself a jet engine version of the Percival Provost, which originally flew in 1950 with a radial piston engine.
Smoke trailing from each of the Strikemasters, and that gorgeous sound of the 3 aircraft as they flew from the pier end past us on the commentary point, and now going out over the water, over that barge again, Thames sailing barge. The sun really shining and glinting on the wings of each of the 3 aircraft there. We will get to see each of them in turn. Well, we'll certainly see the Vampire on her own and the Strikemaster pair on their own shortly. But let's just, for a moment, soak up the beauty of the 3 of them together in this formation. Coming now over the Gunfleet Sands wind farm, as if they're coming directly towards us on the prom here in Clacton at the Greensward. Again, the smoke goes on the Strikemasters. They peel off one by one, leaving the Vampire on her own temporarily, banking higher than the Strikemasters, banking to the right over the pier. As I say, each Strikemaster, one going left, one going right. So the 3 aircraft are now parted and preparing for their individual performances.
Have done so much for this show, and the Strikemasters based at Havilland. It's an Essex-based display team. Ken R. Wiesler is the brainchild behind the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron, and we're in capable hands with Kenneth. He's been flying since he was 15 years old, and he's accumulated over 15,000 hours of flying in his career. First up in the military from the 80s, and then onto the airlines, flying for Scandinavian Airlines and Boeing aircraft. He trained as a forward air controller, directing and guiding aircraft to find ground targets in the military, and then in Scandinavian Airlines he was promoted to captain on the Boeing 737s, 456, 7 and 800 aircraft up until the late 1990s. He founded the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron and has a huge passion for historical aircraft and classic jets. He's been displaying and flying the de Havilland Vampire since 2007. He's accumulated around 250 hours on the type and is actively involved in the maintenance of those aircraft. He's always had a passion for aerobatics and used to fly his Yak 52 before he moved on to the Vampire. The Strikemaster pilots today are Sean Chitton MBE, who joined the RAF from school in the late 80s. He gained his wings on the Hawk and qualified as an instructor on the Jet Provost. He then was selected to join the Red Arrows and the final year as leader of the Synchro pair. He later also went on to the airlines, flying Boeings and Airbus aircraft.
So the Strikemasters are back with us. In close formation, flying nicely along the seafront, backing up over to sea and past them here. To my left as we look out to sea. We've also got Ian Bertie Brett, haven't we, who has flown the Strikemaster for 4 or 5 years. Second year displaying, 13 years as a display pilot, and a Tornado GR4 pilot, then an instructor with RAF Marham. Whilst in the RAF in 2014, RAF tutor manager, display manager, got Bertie the Bug for the airshow world, and around the time he started flying the Hawker Hunter mid-air squadron. Once you get the bug, you've got the bug, haven't you?
Bertie's a familiar face here at Clacton because he used to fly with Team Raven. He was flying at Clacton with the Ravens before joining the Strikemaster team. He said the Strikemaster is a lot of fun to fly. It's very simple and straightforward with very basic classic instrumentation with big round dials versus the advanced TV screens that he sees on the airline aircraft he flies like the Boeing. He said it's fast, it's nice, it's a graceful aircraft with aerobatic manoeuvres. And of course he loves displaying here at Clacton. He says it's a shame not to be able to land here in a jet as he did when he was on Team Raven, but it's always nice to be on the ground and see the public. He said it's a great show, the sun is always shining at Clacton, and he just enjoys flying on the East Coast, which he said as a pilot gives him a different perspective, and for you as a crowd, the photographs look slightly different as the sun is in a different position.
It's not called the Sunshine Coast for nothing, you know, here in Tendring. And we've got plenty of it at the moment as the two, beautifully sail up into the sky, turning to show us each side of the aircraft, up and down, top and bottom.
Now, this Strikemaster has an engine that produces 3,500 pounds of thrust, a pure turbojet, which creates a noticeable noise impact, as we just heard there. This display routine is designed to show the jet's manoeuvrability, and its high performance as a straight-wing aircraft. You'll see slow manoeuvres, closely followed by large vertical manoeuvres. And during the display, the pilots will sustain up to 4G.
Yes, we're getting a turbojet masterclass in manoeuvrability here at Clacton. It's funny, isn't it? It's difficult to sometimes imagine how large the aircraft is when it's in the skies above us. We're looking at a length here of 33 feet, 8.5 inches, so just over 10 meters. The wingspan is 36 feet, 10 inches, 11.2 meters, just to give you a little bit of an idea of the size of the aircraft that we're looking at the moment.
Maximum speed of 481 miles per hour, up to 18,000 feet. And a top speed of 518 miles per hour. That's the never exceed speed limit.
Wow, that'd get you places quickly, wouldn't it?
I wonder how long it takes them from North Weald to come here.
About 3 minutes at that speed.
Now, Bertie has been doing some instructional flying at North Weald, and he enjoys flying over the Essex landscape. It's beautiful to fly over. He's been teaching and examining everything from ab initio first-time pilots and Cessna Pipers up to jet training.
I don't know if it's Bertie's nice or a local Facebook group in Havilland, which isn't that many miles away from Clacton. Chatter the other week about an aircraft that goes over at about 1 o'clock every day, and someone said, it might not be true, but someone said on the Facebook group, that's a Strikemaster, and then someone else said, yeah, it's on its way to North Weald every day. So I don't know where Bertie lives, if he's coming home for lunch or something, but we often see the Strikemaster over the Essex countryside. It gets discussed on various community Facebook groups. They're coming either direction now. And a wonderfully close pass. They just tilted their wings and crossed in front of us here on the beach before soaring out over the wind farm to once again cross over in front of us. Again, both smoke is trailing.
During the routine, the high speeds will reach up to 400 knots. Lots of crossover passes. Strikemaster is essentially an armed version of the Jet Proverse Mark V. The Strikemaster was modified with an uprated engine, wing hard points capable of carrying 4 500-pound Mark 82 bombs, 2 machine guns, new communication and navigation gear, a different electrical system, and a revised fuel system, including fuel tanks on the wingtips.
Which we can see when we look closely like that. We get such a good view. Over the pier now, high into the sky, one after the other. This is a massive loop.
I love it when they push up to the vertical and you can feel that roar in your chest as they accelerate. The Strikemaster was built by the British Aircraft Corporation at Warton in Lancashire. She was actually never operated by the RAF, but used extensively by air forces as diverse as Ecuador, Oman and New Zealand. Now, one of these aircraft is an ex-Oman Air Force aircraft, operated successfully as a light ground attack role for notable historical events, including the Dauphin War and the famous Battle of Mirbat in 1972. The Strikemaster played a crucial role in that battle and proved to be an extremely capable aircraft.
Coming straight for us from the North Sea and up into the skies above. I thought they were going to do their own version of a heart then, with the smokers trailing as they turned up in the vertical, one left, one right, but the smoker's now gone off and they've peeled off in either direction. There's a passenger airline flight right high above us. I'm just wondering if people on board that look down. I wonder what all those people are doing, looking out on Clacton Seafront.
Now, of course, there's plenty of separation because we've got our strict rules that the aircraft pilots have to abide by, and they have up to 3,000 feet to fly their routines. And I'm just checking my notes, Ian, and when I interviewed Bertie last year, he said it took 12 minutes to transit from North Weald, just enough time to warm up, do a little bit of G and get themselves and the aircraft ready for the display.
And as the Strikemasters disappear left and right, you might have heard at the roar of the Vampire. The Vampire is back. This aircraft with the double tail, very distinctive shape, showing the Martello Tower end of the seafront belly. She's now flying along towards the pier.
So as we said earlier, the Vampire was really a replacement after the Gloucester Meteor, served with RAF squadrons between 1953 and used as a trainer up to 1966. She served with many air forces worldwide, setting aviation firsts and records, and was the first RAF fighter to exceed a top speed over 500 miles per hour. One of those records was the first carrier landing and takeoff of a jet aircraft performed by test pilot Eric Winklebrown in 1945, when he landed and took off from HMS Ocean. On the 8th of June 1946, the Vampire was introduced to the British public when Fighter Command's 247 Squadron was given the honour of leading the flypast over London at the Victory Day celebrations.
Another record on July the 14th, 1948. 6 Vampire of number 54 Squadron RAF became the first jet aircraft to fly across the Atlantic Ocean when they arrived in Goose Bay in Labrador. They went via Stornoway in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland, Iceland, Greenland. From Goose Bay Airfield they went on to Montreal to start the RAF's annual Goodwill Tour of Canada and the US, where they gave formation aerobatic displays. Lots of records set by these aircraft.
Almost 3,300 Vampires were built, a quarter of them under license in other countries. And the Vampire design was also developed into the de Havilland Venom fighter bomber, as well as the Naval Sea Vampire variants. Now, given the immense power of the Vampire, with top speeds over 500 miles per hour and a powerful engine, a de Havilland Goblin 3 centrifugal turbojet that powers 3,350 pounds a foot. It's incredible to think that such a powerful aircraft can also fly so silently in stealth mode and oh so gracefully. The Vampire was a mighty aircraft when fully armed with 4 20mm Hispano Mark V cannons, 8 3-inch 60-pound rockets, or 2 500-pound bombs, or 2 drop tanks. And eyes centre of the crowd as the Vampire creeps up on us, pulling up to the vertical, showing us the underbelly of the aircraft and that large fin as Ken flies so gracefully above us here on Clacton seafront, twirling as he reaches the top of the climb.
I said we had a lot of film stars with us today. This is another. This Vampire can be seen alongside John Travolta in the movie adaptation of the Frederick Forsyth novel The Shepherd. The film was made in 2023, filmed in Norfolk, and playing a starring role. You like the film, don't you?
I actually watched it last week in preparation for this show, and I have to say, Ian, I was astonished by it. A lot of these modern day films use a very poor version of CGI, but this production used some real life filming with the vampire, taxiing and some flying, and they combined that with virtual production in a studio with the pilots in cockpits, using the real footage behind them on big screens. And I have to say, you felt like you were up in the clouds with the pilots, and I actually had goosebumps. It was a fantastic version of a vampire history on the screen.